can we push to later? I was like, cool, yes, let's set it tomorrow morning.
What exactly is the It
was just, it was nice talking with her, but it was just so short. I mean, I didn't have a particular question for her, so, you know, there was that, but I was just kind of like, I just want a status update, like, where am I at, you know, like, things okay? She was just like, look, we haven't, you know, things that I already knew, like, well, you don't have any notable no-shows, and it's like, you know, for class, like, unexcused absences, I was like,
yeah,
and then, you know,
and that's it. What else did she have?
you know, I mean, she did open it up, so like, yeah, of course, just for me, but it wasn't like one of those things where I was like, oh, I just want you to tell me
all right.
it's
So
gonna be okay.
just a quick check. Everybody has Mongo DB installed, working. Everyone who was here last time. So we got Mongo DB working and running, and RoboMongo working and running. Then
Okay. Nobody. She was saying that it's possible that the last project is going to be one where
at all.
So, which is cool.
RoboMongo.
It sounds like that's what everyone, or a lot of people that option, but do their own. Which I think is kind of cool.
So yesterday what we did was we only focused on MongoDB. We just focused on the application itself. What happened to what? Refer to somebody else. Hopefully we'll be able to get some time to put testing in during your individual project. Yeah. Okay. In between some out computer science. Okay. What's that?
Yeah.
There's that week algorithm. There's the week classes of JavaScript. Web design patterns. Okay. That was a serious question. It's hard to tell. You smiled after you asked it, so I just figured you were just the answer, right? Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to push Mongo a little further. We're just going to quick refresh on what we learned yesterday, and then we're going to jump right into doing things like connecting it to our Node Express applications that we've already been building in class. And then we're also going to have some fun by going out and scraping websites and taking data from websites and then putting that into our MongoDB database. And then, of course, taking all that data and then rendering it out using our API routes that we build in Express, an HTML page. Okay, so all the way to the front. So we'll do full stack today. All right, cool. Exciting stuff, I know.
Continuing handlebars?
I don't think we're going to be using handlebars yet today. You can certainly see, when you see the structure of the things that we're going to be working with today, you're going to see the exact same structure as what we were doing with Express already. So you already know how to plug handlebars in there if you wanted something that was like templating or whatever. Okay. But basically, we're going to be rendering very simple stuff. So we're going to be using just a AJAX calls to the API that we built. Okay. There are obviously many other ways to render stuff out of a database to the front end, but what we're going to be doing today is fairly simple. So you'll see, this will be kind of interesting because you'll go back and we'll be hitting some stuff that you guys hadn't really probably thought about for a while, including the using jQuery and jQuery-like syntax. So.
Okay, yeah,
that's a thing.
That is a thing.
Right.
You're like, fuck jQuery. Not too cool. No, jQuery is awesome. In fact, what we're gonna see one of the libraries that we use today. The library that scrapes is actually, it took the core of jQuery and stripped out all the stuff that's for the front end and made like a server version of jQuery, like a Node server version of jQuery. I know, pretty cool, right? And it's a super fast way of going out and scraping websites out there. All right, cool. So as I said, the class objectives are: 1, introduce the concept of web scraping and show you guys how to use Cheerio, which makes it possible to do this data retrieval. Another objective today is to teach all of our students how to use Mongo.js, which we can employ in our MongoDB projects that we're going to do. And then finally, we're going to show we're going to learn how to, and then send it using that Mongo.js and save it, and then use content from other sites for our own content. Okay? Does that sound good? Anybody have any objections? I don't care. All right.
Classic.
Yes,
Classic.
classic. Going for the old stuff. Wolf punching and everything.
Back to basics.
Okay, so I want to first pose to anybody if somebody in the class could define what web scraping is for me. Anybody who knows what that is. Please.
Going out and taking some data from another source and bringing it into your own place.
Okay, so taking someone else's data and using it, right? Okay, so the other key term is that we're going to be using some sort of programmatic method to do that. Okay, so there's been a lot of ways of scraping data that have been used over the years. It changes constantly. It's much easier with what we're going to talk about and use today than how it was back when I was trying to be a content ripoff artist. So basically what it does is it lets you look at the structure of a page and select certain divs or certain elements within those divs and take their attributes and then use those to plug it into what we've already been working with, which is that binary JSON that we were working with in our last class. Okay, so if we can scrape data and it's on these nodes and it has, elements inside other elements, we can build a JSON map of that same data. So we already know how to traverse and do all that stuff. So we're going to be touching on some of that also today. So what would be some reasons why you might not want to scrape data?
Copyright.
Copyrights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
What?
Could be dirty or wrong.
Dirty or wrong? Yeah.
Could be
Like, I mean,
outdated.
both connotations, I suppose.
Outdated and dirty. Both. Okay, yeah, those are some great reasons. We are actually very fortunate because we have Luis in our class here who can actually probably maybe tell us a little bit about the legal implications of scraping someone else's content and putting it on your own site. Do you know anything about that, or?
A little bit. I mean, it's interesting when you guys find some protectability of data because it's slim.
Yeah.
Copyright doesn't really cover data.
Interesting.
It's there's an old case dealt with data from a telephone book, and somebody copied a bunch of data, and that was okay.
Okay, yeah. Huh.
Even if it took a long time to collect the data, it's called sweat of the brow test.
Yeah. Huh.
It's still not protectable.
So it's just like a lot of areas and law seem to do that. They go back to older media to decide how the new media is treated because they do the same thing with the Betamax things, like always the digital whatever with the Betamax and how they were sued by the film industry basically when they first came out.
Yeah.
And then that's yeah.
So the copyrightable aspect could be in the way you present it, in the selection, in the organization, that would fit, not the data itself.
Interesting. How you actually show it could be a violation. What would be the liability of taking data and presenting it and then being like an official source of information, but the information is wrong or dangerous or something like that? Would there be any implication there? Or I mean, I know the internet's pretty wild west.
It depends.
Okay.
The classic answer.
Yeah. If there's some sort of compliance department in that industry, then it probably
Well, it
matters.
depends on the context, what you're putting it out there for, how people are relying on it versus, and whether you're in the consumer space.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Well, there you go. They're straight from the mouth of an intellectual property attorney. So that's a unique perspective. Yeah, we are going to definitely not have a lot of sweat on our brows tonight to do this. So when you see how easy it is to scrape this data, you may be like, that does not pass a sweat of the brow test. Okay. We won't get sued, I promise. No one ever gets sued in the United States. Okay. Tune in for more lies and disinformation. All right, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using a powerful node package called Cheerio, okay? After the cereal, beloved by all toddlers worldwide. And what we'll do is let's go ahead and Cheerio documentation now. And here it is. Cheerio.
So do we use the NP package or the...
We're going to get to installing in just a second. Let's just take a look at the documentation now. So when we scroll down in the repo, we can see that it goes right into documentation here. So just run through a little bit of the documentation. Take a look at some of its syntax that it has, and you may see some familiarity in the way that this is set up as in relation to something that we've already studied in class. So what do we see? We see the $ symbol, right? So we see the same selectors that we used when we were working with jQuery. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. This library basically decided to, jQuery is so good at accessing the DOM and traversing the DOM and accessing all the nodes of our website. We could use that same power and speed to, blazingly fast scrape other websites, so other people's DOMs. I'm not even touching that one. Maybe I will. Anyways, have to be loyal to your master. We all have our masters, right? Okay, so I'm losing my train of thought here. So surprising. So yes, sweat of the brow. So if we take a few minutes to look over this, we'll see a little bit about how to use this application. But what's even better is to kind of jump right into using it. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a second to, like I said, just browse over it, and I'll get a little example started up. Oh, let me send this along to you. So do you have a zip of this? I already have it in a zip format, so I'll send it out to the class. The one. So I'll take care of this one. All right, so I'm putting this in Monday, Wednesday instructions. This is going to be okay. Slowly understanding how to use Slack. All right, so I just added it to Monday, Wednesday instructions. Hopefully, yep, there it is. Scraping1.js. Okay, so if we go ahead and take a look at this scraping directory that I sent out to everybody, yours probably won't have the node modules in it yet, and we all know why that is, right?
Get ignore. I wish I could ignore.
No, what? Oh, no, you don't have the node modules yet because you haven't run npm install, right? So I did. I've already run npm install. You can go ahead and extract this out and run the same thing so that you can set this up. Okay, so let's take a look at what happens if we run this first. So I'm going to get bash here. And I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, and it kind of sits there for a while. It tells me a little bit about what it's doing, and then it runs through and it does it, okay? And it gives me back that data. So let's take a look at the, oh, thank you. Let's take a look at the Reddit web dev page, which is actually where this is pointing. I'll put the link in the same Slack window. So given that we can see this data that it's returned back, which by the way is in that JSON format, right? Okay. And then if we go to the actual page that it is scraping, where did it go? What's that? Questions? Questions? All right, so if we look at this Reddit, our web dev, and then we bring up our window next to it, we can see that, yep, it did. It went through and scraped this site, okay? And it only selected out particular information. Sure, there's a ton of elements that contain text that have attributes on this page. But what it did is we went through and selectively chose different nodes, different elements within this page. I use the term node, but it's also could be called an element or object. So basically the elements of the page, and picked out what we want and then condensed it and gave me back this beautiful, ready to use JSON that we see here. Okay. So if we go back to our project and we take a look at the server1.js. All right.
I know signs outside.
I know. I hate that they've stopped putting the signs out there. I'm gonna give them hell for it if I can find anybody.
Yeah.
Again, every time I go, I think they're all on their smoke breaks. Should not be looking for help around 419. All right. So let's take a look at this. What do we see? All right. Well, we see that we're including request. Does everybody remember request? Does anybody remember request? Oh my God! I failed. So what it does is that's our thing that we use to make HTTP requests, right? Very core, one of the first packages that we included into our Express applications. All right. Next, we see our Cheerio. All right. First thing we want to do is we're just logging what the console, what we want to, we're just basically telling the user what we're about to do, the operation that we're going to run. Okay. And then we run this request. Notice that the third argument is the HTML. Okay. So yes, the response is part of the one of the parameters, but we also have this HTML parameter that's going to be very important to us. And so what we're doing is we're using that $sign next. We're using the same method that we did before, which is sometimes called a shortcut. What we're doing that is we're applying that shortcut to the $sign here, just like what happens behind the scenes for jQuery is they're assigning a shortcut that says $sign means all of jQuery. Now do this. In the same sense, we're doing that. All of Cheerio, give us this. So we'll be able to use this $sign in our syntax as we go down. Create an empty array to contain our data that we're going to have. We've done that many times before also. Then what we're doing is we're actually a Cheerio style iterator. So what we're doing is we're using that .each method, just like the .each method in jQuery. And what it will allow us to do is iterate over all the elements that are p tags that have the class title. Okay. So if we did go back to our Reddit page that we're scraping and we looked at the source there, we would see this p tag with the class title. And so that's what it's looking for first. So every time it hits one of those, it's looping through and iterating. Okay. Right. Okay. So then it's saying whatever that element's title is becomes I'm sorry, we're setting a variable based on whatever the text is inside that p title element. Okay. Then what it's doing is it's going and looking at the element itself using the children method and finding everything that has an attribute href and saving that as link when it's looping through. Okay. Then what it's doing is we're just basically taking that empty array that we created and pushing those new values to that array. So every time the loop runs, that's what we're doing there. And basically, because we're not going any step further with this data, we're just logging up what we got back to the console. Okay? Any questions about this at all? It is a little strange to see jQuery jump back in the mix.
When you go back up just here, Jim, in the p class title .each function, what is the I doing?
That's just the iterator.
The iterator. Okay.
Yeah, it's, you know how we always have it, like when we have a for loop, we have the I. We often use the I variable to be our iterator.
Where is it being used in the below code?
It's not being used at this point.
Okay, I got you.
It's important to have it in case we needed to count something off.
It's not being utilized yet.
Yeah, it's just not being used.
It needs to be customized for whatever web that you're going to scrape, right?
Exactly.
Take a look at that format and then
And that's one of the challenges you'll have is that when you're using this, because one of the activities we're going to do, we're going to let you pick whatever website you want and try to scrape the data. Right. And so you'll have to analyze that website and go back to your HTML days and dig through and see the actual structure. But use things that are easy to identify. So obviously, remember when we talked about selectors and we talked about the weight of your selector and the specificity. So using like an ID, or something like that. But essentially, you just have to kind of either run a test and console log what you get back from the page and then tweak it that way, or go the other direction and actually analyze the page and try to use that to guess. Those are two ways of doing it, I guess.
Also, I just want to jump back to the each function real quick.
Yeah.
You always want to define that iterator there for each parameter for each's argument.
Oh, that's
so
right.
if you don't pass I and you just pass element, you're actually going to be using the iterator but calling the element in your code.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them will have reverse order. It'll be like you put the element as the first and the iterator as the second. but for each, you always have to have the iterator actually defining if you use it or not in there.
Interesting. Okay, good. I forgot about that. So that's the reason why it's being defined here but not used, is that we don't want to confuse it with the iterator. And it's really the only reason we need to store element is because we're using this children method, I believe. Like we could probably use this as well. Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, good. All right. You've earned your egg roll today, Rob.
It'll taste ever so sweet now.
The taste of victory. All right. And see, Holly's not here to get any of those egg rolls either. So, Holly, where are you? All right, we're gonna send a search party here. Find Holly. Okay, so given what we just experienced and talked about there, let's go ahead and move on to looking at server 2. So I want everybody to go ahead and run server 2 and run it just the way that I ran this server JS. Run server 2.js.
So you probably said it when I was listening, but PMPM package, or is that part of Cheerio? Or
Cheerio basically took part of it and like, so anything that had to do with actually manipulating the DOM and things like that, anything that would be really front end useful, they stripped out of it, so they cut a lot of the library. So you can't really call it jQuery anymore, but it definitely has the system library.
I think it's conflict free.
Because it's so good at
I did not-
accessing the DOM and traversing and grabbing stuff, that's why they said it's a programming strategy. They're going out there and doing that over and over again.
I did have to fight somebody for it, so you know, a little bit of conflict.
We're using it similar to how it's used in jQuery, but it's not. It doesn't mean the same thing. In this case, it means the Cheerio library, not the jQuery.
Question.
You have a question? Oh, who has a question? You have a question?
Yes.
Okay.
If we're defining the $sign in here, this it couldn't possibly coexist with jQuery then on the front end. Otherwise, it would like conflict over which one you're calling when you call the $sign.
We haven't really gotten into using the no conflict, but there is a way to avoid conflicts like that because there used to be an old Wild West day when there were many different jQuery-like libraries, and so you had people using MooTools and jQuery and YUI and all these other weird libraries.
And people just start running out of characters on the keyboard.
Well, they're just all using the shortcut, so they're using the same shortcut. Sometimes, in some cases. You have to. There's a no conflict. There's just a little bit of code. I can send you information on it. It's not really. It hasn't really been a big deal to us because we're not working with multiple libraries that are using that shortcut. But it certainly does happen. So sometimes what you'll do is instead of using the shortcut, if you know that you're mixing those things and you're worried about that, use jQuery whatever, because that's actually the same shortcut too. That will work also. You don't have to use $sign. The little j, big Q, jQuery instead of $sign. So just the same way we use $sign in the selector, you can say jQuery in the selector. Okay. And if you want more information on that, just Google jQuery no conflict. So big deal in WordPress websites. That's the only place where I've really encountered it. So hopefully you won't ever do any WordPress websites. Except for Hector, I hope you only do WordPress websites. Joke's on you. I do too. Let's hang out and talk about WordPress sometime. Okay, so when we look at server 2, we see that it's following the same essential path that the other one did. Of course, this one's doing something different. So what is it doing different? What is it doing differently than the first one we looked at? Anybody?
It's using parent instead of children.
That's right. It's using parent instead of children. It's also scraping the NHL website, right?
Yeah, that is different. That is different.
Okay, it's very similar, but it's different. But it's showing us that there's multiple methods that we can use that are going to be pretty useful in this Cheerio library, including child, parent, children, parent. And then let's go ahead and take a look at the very last one in here, server 3, just to beat a dead horse. And we're looking at the awards website, which I love. It's great. So we'll someday we'll put something on there, me and you. WordPress website, Hector. Award-winning WordPress website. It had a sidebar. Oh! Sorry, I'm making fun of WordPress, not you, obviously. WordPress sucks. But it makes me money. Oh man. Mm. Okay. All right, so essentially when we look at server 3, we'll notice that the Cheerio method will grab the first child within parent element. Okay, so that's that find. So just like when we had jQuery, did anybody use find when we were working with jQuery? Yeah. So it's not the most useful one unless that's exactly what you want to do. Just look and find the first element. But find. All right. When we look at this server 3, what do you think the reason is behind? Why do you think we use the .find method in the first place? I mean, what if we use .children instead?
Then you'll get all the anchor tags, including just links.
Could be all kinds of weird stuff, right? Could be social links, maybe. I haven't looked at the website, but if you look at the website, and that's where sometimes the testing thing and having it where it console logs all this stuff like what we've been doing. That's kind of handy because then you see, oh shit, I just got this huge load of data that I don't want, and I want to be more accurate in my selector.
Now, if for some reason, which doesn't make sense for scraping really, but if we were looking for an ID instead of a class, would we just replace that with a hashtag?
Yep. It works exactly the same as the Sizzle selector when we used it in jQuery.
So you said the creators of Cheerio took jQuery, stripped it down,
Yeah.
and so it's like it is jQuery syntax.
It is, yeah.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yep, jQuery syntax, that's right. And it just doesn't have every piece that jQuery had. You know what I mean? Some methods and things like that are going to be missing. But a lot of it is what they would actually call the bad parts of jQuery, or the parts that people complain about jQuery.
Okay.
We're just long since not worrying about the inconsistent double single quotes, right?
Yes, sorry. I didn't even see that. That's an insane line, too.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
kind of
God.
fast to say.
It's all over, yeah.
You used to JavaScript.
It's pretty sad.
I think the next in your video series format should be using one type of convention of quotes.
Take it down.
Yes.
I'm gonna do a pull request to fix all of them.
Yes. Universal quote pull request. Replace it all with fancy quotes.
Don't worry, I just made a pull request to fix these minor mistakes. They weren't even breaking your code, but I'm just doing it because it makes it look
Like I said, it could be worse. It could be fancy quotes. Does anybody know what a fancy quote is? I've ranted against fancy quotes at least once in this class. I know I have.
I'm down for another.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's hear it.
So have you ever worked with someone who copies and pastes stuff from Word? Yeah. So Word has a
Like
fancy
text-
quotes.
Text rich. or-
Yeah. And so sometimes you can end up with a snippet of something that has fancy quotes because they ran it through Word at some point. You don't really know that because they look almost the same.
Oh no. Did they fuck everything up?
Yes. They fuck everything.
the same like Greek semicolon. The Greek
They're like, I know what a quote is, but I don't know what the fuck that is. Square. Rectangle box. Okay, anyways. Yeah. So hopefully this all makes sense and we can move on to you guys working with it. All right, so we're going to slack out a skeleton starter for everybody. Okay, and it has instructions written right into it, but basically you're going to use this skeleton and the Cheerio documentation and everything you learned so far to scrape a website of your choice. Save it in a result array and log it to the console. So just like what we did here, but you're going to have to go out and kind of figure out how to get exactly what you want. And don't just grab it all. Be like, oh, done. Try to have a little bit of discerning.
Technically got it.
Yeah, try to just grab the stuff that you could see yourself taking and using in your own content, right? And so we're gonna do this for about 15 minutes. You may encounter some issues here and there. Scraping is not a perfect science. It never has been. It never will be because there's fraud. There's all these levels of things that have to kind of meet to make it happen. It's like a little beautiful snowflake, and you're trying to get your grubby, dirty hands all over it.
Yeah.
So let's say,
So when you guys are working on this, take the take your solution and send your solved server.js files over Slack. Okay, everyone's going to have something different because we're all, I think, hopefully, we're all going to scrape different sites. I guess some people may scrape the same site, but you're not exactly going to choose the same data. So let's go ahead and start. When you're finished with that, go ahead and post your solved one to the class channel. And then what we'll do is take a look at a few of them once the 15 minutes is up. Go ahead and use the channel that says, was it UT0418FSF? So we don't clutter the instruction. Quiet tonight. A little too quiet. I'm gonna have to put on some MC Hammer.
Yeah.
Everybody do the boom. Boom, 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 boom. Hammer time.
Oh, that bump.
Oh.
Sorry, I get the 90s satellite station.
Good stuff.
My daughter loves CNC Music Factory. Anybody remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the song?
Gonna make you sweat.
Yes.
Sweet.
That's what she's listening to there.
Yeah.
Everybody dance now. She's dancing to it, man. She like loves old 90s music. So bad.
Oh my god. That's horrible.
You don't know.
I'm trying to get the text from the chamber. Mine's doing stuff.
Are you able to get anything from it, or?
I'm getting like.
Sounds promising.
Turn into your. You make these?
Hmm?
You make these?
Not what I did. That boomerang app? You ever used that before?
It's pretty fun.
You used that on your dog? Those are some pretty good ones. It's pretty cool, actually. I have to say. You know what that is? You ever used it? It just makes these little movies like this. It's like it makes these little. It takes like multiple shots and then stitches them together into a movie or whatever. Loop, yeah. So sweat. Yeah.
Like it's reflected.
You get your stuff coming up?
I
I got it less not working, but not working. It at first came up as undefined, but now it's coming up as object, which is close.
I just always wonder why.
But now I just
I thought it would be more than that. But clearly here it's not ignored.
There's something with the formatting on there. Yeah.
And I've noticed like my pages do it sometimes too. I know.
It's probably just the way that page was designed that's causing it to have that kind of spacing in there. Or maybe it's, I don't know. It's a weird one.
So what do we meant to slack out?
Oh, just so you know how you'll have an area in your code, like the one that we were looking at, where just take this server and just put it in,
Okay.
add the whole server file.
Cool.
I'm gonna take some of them and plug them in to
It can be website.
up here and run them. A couple of people's final work that they did.
Section is not defined.
It's gonna be in your head too, eventually. Not the bad rapping part though. Never.
Do you see a problem with this? Is there any reason why I shouldn't be able to do that?
It's going just by ID.
Yeah, but it's not, that's unexpected token illegal. How's yours going? You do anything by ID?
What's your question? The hover text. Interesting.
Well, it's just in a hover.
So it's like,
So it's into something with the class hover.
yeah, it's class hover. And it's a P in that class hover. So do I just go like,
Inside a class hover?
yeah, so hover dot P or?
No, you would say dot hover space P because you're looking for, and that will grab every P that's inside an element with the class hover. That's what you wanted, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Sweet.
It's been a while. Yeah. I know. Selectors. You're tuned to that back end. That's good though.
I might also put in here and it's Twitter. Oh, there we go. Boom. Oh, yeah.
Consider yourself scraped.
All right. How's everybody doing? Has everybody got some data that they're scraping yet?
No.
No. No problem. No.
I think either way, think about it too.
Change the budget stuff. What we're trying to do is go into
Yeah.
Did you run PM?
Inside that
Which one is sharpest server?
Trying to grab
Let me see if I get.
The error was happening with just the plane when I sent you to. Okay. Can you Slack me the error that you're seeing on your screen also? You're back.
So then there's this other thing div, and what I'm attempting to do is loop
Cool.
every article.
I don't know what's going on with your stream.
Is it not working?
So I don't need to be.
You don't see anything?
Yeah, so you can have a link and do first to go to
Son of a-
video.
Mm-hmm.
I have 2 viewers on right now. I don't know.
I think it would be a section.
It's showing that it's recording and I'm presenting to everybody.
And I was trying on my cell phone.
like 6 elements.
It's definitely defined.
I'm like, oh, he's all listening. No, it's not.
I may die. Oh, Roy says he can see
There we
video.
go. Yeah, I was into that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, back to
Wow!
the other.
Can I read property error? I've gotten this error so many times.
Is it the node? Is it the node.parent error?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking into that right now. I don't get that, but maybe I can figure out why.
Something to do with that source code.
Which one did you start with? Just server.js?
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, you guys are starting with the skeleton, right?
Skeleton, yeah.
I
wonder if I switch this up.
Two scrapes started.
Oh, is that what that is? Very nice.
This number 2.
So I think I figured it out.
What was it?
In the, or do you have the skeleton server.js?
I do.
On the request, where you enter the the URL, it has like those square brackets around it.
Oh yeah, you have to remember.
Well, I got it.
yeah.
Yeah, I
You have
got
to
it.
remove those.
That seems to fix something.
That was the problem.
For me it was.
Yeah. You have to remove that and use it.
It's crazy. I know. That is just practice, right?
Yeah.
ID.
Oh, shit.
So that's interesting. We got a couple. I guess maybe it's a fail safe.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah. Yeah, so let's.
So your result is
but not
look
here.
at this close. Okay, that's an improvement.
So see if you can change your selector. Try to go for something similar and see if you get data from that site.
I like when
It's TRTD.
So there's a P title on the NBA site. Well, it'll return an empty bracket if there's not.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, you need to remove those square
Yeah,
brackets. I don't know why you put those square brackets in there. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, make sure you format the URL that you're scraping just like the one that I sent out to you before that. Sorry.
What's button TR? Could it be grabbing the wrong TR?
Oh, see, here's what's
Ah,
yeah.
but not. Maybe.
So some of these,
Drag start by
little,
grabbing like that.
these little multi things are in items. Under different issues.
All right, so let's get some solutions set up. If you got one working, send it to me. We gotta move on. Back to Mongo.
Works for like part of the web.
That's fine. Set it up. Hook me up. I may choose yours. Maybe not.
Yeah, just
How many working solutions do we have on the Slack channel now?
I've worked with better.
wasn't what you said. It was like the commitment in your eye.
I was committed to it. I was channeling some Bill Murray there, but not really though.
Yeah, browsing channels.
My grandma used to babysit keyboard.
What's that?
Yeah, grandma used to babysit keyboard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I used to go to preschool in the pet cemetery. Well, it was behind my preschool. The pet cemetery from the movie. Here's the previous thing. I was a little blonde kid. Just in the kid that he puts in the pet cemetery, little blonde kid. I mean, he's a baby, I think. Gets hit by an 18-wheeler. Stephen King, he's so cheery.
Oh, that just got dark.
So many vehicle-related things in his books, and then he gets hit by a car. I thought that was kind of ironic. Maybe not ironic. It's probably not the right term. Tragic. Or humorous. Okay, so hopefully I got a few in here in the channel. A few of you send them up. Where'd it go? All right, let's see here. Let's try, well, we'll just go with the first one. Actually, I got to look at this one. Dick, did you submit two?
I just submitted a different one.
Ah,
The second one is
Already
better.
on 1.1.
I actually did the wishes of like, oh, it's clean.
Yeah.
I love that. I use Richard Joe Biden.
I know, and that's what I want so badly for this to work.
The first time I just went to NPR, and then the second one I did the one.
Never used specifically this person.
all right. So let's take a look at your second submission.
Yeah, that was better because it has two properties.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna drop this in my directory.
Are you using the right element?
And what's funny about this one, Jim?
Uh-huh.
Every one of
Yeah,
those
we
divs
did.
that I've targeted has
Yeah.
the same ID. It's div ID home featured, ID home featured, ID home featured. Which is just like obviously very bad practice, right?
So sometimes people get ahead of themselves and don't realize that they're going to have server-generated code, and they have IDs in there, and then the server is spitting out these blocks of code that have IDs, and it's just like repeating the ID.
Oh, yeah.
It's certainly introducing a validation error, though. It is not a good thing.
Yeah.
It's like you get a validation error when you have
Yeah.
IDs repeated. Yeah.
But it still worked. It still selected all of them and pushed them in the array. That's what Rob was curious. It's like
Yeah.
if it was going to just select the first. I think it's like Suarez.
Yeah, I'm going to it right now.
I just think the actual file. I think it's what he's doing, just getting ready there.
Oh,
All right, there we go.
Oh, nice.
Collecting the brushes.
Oh man, I was kind of scared. How big is this data set? Cool. So what is this? Is this from
The OneRing.net.
the one? Yeah, there it is right there. That's cool. All right, let's look at another one on here. We'll look at one more. Luis, let's look at yours.
I don't have it working yet.
I said Luis.
Luckily, you are Lisa.
I'm sorry. I was like, can't do
Okay, that's all right. I'll use Luis instead. All right. Put this in here. Make a new file for this. Server 5. I just name it whatever I want to. Don't worry about that. All right, so node server. Oops. Return anything. Oh, that's because I didn't paste anything. Joke's on me, she said. Now it's up above it. All right. All right, there we go. Now that should yield better results. All right. And look at the image of every photo in the whose kitchen section? Is this your app?
No, it was something that you look at when you're remodeling.
Oh, house. Whose?
Did you get
That's cool.
Got
So it's just grabbing every image.
originally I got that, and now I've just
Well, there's
and
a
then I
source
got this at one point.
Okay, so one is like a thumbnail or something. Is that what it is? I see this fimg and photos directory repeated over and over. Like it's going photos.
Yeah, there's a source and then there's an image under it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a thumbnail and a larger image, maybe. Cool.
The source code of the page.
All right.
If you're into it,
And those are very cool.
Well, I wanted, but and so I just did it very, you know, it's like this is what I want.
All right, so
Say this. Maybe that's redundant.
did anybody have any stuff to share about how they went about finding the data that they wanted to scrape and how they went through that process before we move back to Mongo?
I just felt that I needed to be more specific with like the first element that because I kept going too broad. I got undefined like 50 times, and so I decided to like zero in.
Yeah, sometimes it's really useful to inspect the element and then look at that. It gives you that list of all the tags that lead up to that element, and then you can say, I mean, this is more useful in CSS, but it's big enough, maybe I need to grab this and then Awesome.
Same as that. Some of these sites are
they have no structure.
Excessive use of divs. I'm literally 7 selectors deep.
Yeah.
The text I want.
Yeah, try scraping MySpace pages or something.
Oh god.
Cool. All right. So did anybody have any continued issues and was unable to scrape anything? Everybody was able to scrape something? What? That's no excuse. You're supposed to be writing this all out while you were driving.
Yeah, try.
I wasn't.
You weren't able to get something?
No, I mean, I got it to be less wrong for a second, but it still wasn't right. So I originally got undefined, and then I pulled something else, and then I got an object, and then I did image dot options to dig further, and then when I did that, it gave me another object within the object.
What are you scraping here?
It's just a stamping website. That, and all I want is the pictures.
Well, there are certainly a lot of pictures on there. So you have to be fairly specific, but you just wanted those bottom ones there?
I just wanted all the pictures at first, and then I was.
Oh,
gonna
all image
pull-
files?
Yeah, and then I was gonna pull it down further, but it didn't want to play. Sorry?
We're going to get a chance to scrape more in this class, and we'll make sure that you're able to scrape on the next one. They're not actually having
I
it.
just have to pick an easier size to seal. I tried like 3 sizes before I found one that I could dig where.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot that can go wrong in the scraping process. It looks like you're actually grabbing like a JavaScript object or something. I'm not really quite sure what you're grabbing. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Like what you might want to do is take the site that you're trying to scrape and just try to grab the H1 or something like that, like something very simple that you know is right there and easy to grab, and see if you can at least return that. Okie dokie. So you may be wondering how all of this figures into what we learned yesterday. Well, it will all make sense by the end of this class, hopefully, or else you'll be lost completely. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to switch back to MongoDB, and we're going to see how we can use that to interact with Node. Okay? Because while it really felt like in our last class we were doing Node stuff, we were not. So shatter it. We were just, yeah, we did. It was shits and giggles and giggles and shits. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and switch back to Mongo. So what's better than being a coder, right? Being a coder is super fun. You get to meet interesting people. Your job's obsolete. And other fun things. But how can it be even more fun? What if you were a coder in a zoo? That would be more fun, right? Who's selling this? I don't feel like I'm selling it.
So I can make animals obsolete.
Yeah, make animals obsolete. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use MongoDB and we're going to make a zoo database. All right, so we're going to slack out some instructions here. I am an animal.
You're gonna need to drop that here.
I am an animal. Don't think you can rise above that base animalistic quality. Atavistic tendencies rise up. Suddenly, feeling teeth growing larger.
I think it's really
Yeah.
Lycanthrope.
Hanging out on Tumblr again.
No, I've been watching Nude Dating or Dating Nude or whichever version it is. Classic. Okay, cool. So hopefully Rob has slacked out the instructions. Okay. And what we can do is we can go and take a look. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to use our Mongo shell that we used yesterday, create a database called Zoo, and insert a collection of named animals. Okay. And there's going to be 5 documents within this collection, these 5 animals. And each animal is going to have these 5 fields. Okay. There's a little example there also to help you understand how this is going to work. Okay. All right.
Do we do it through the command line, or do you want
They want you to, for this particular part, to use the shell line, the command line shell that we used yesterday. Certainly, you probably know that you could plop some vSON into RoboMongo and initiate the same thing. All right, I got to make some animals too. Oh wait, no, I got to do that after you guys try to do that.
What if I have a level of endurance required to insert the line?
All right, you guys got 5 minutes to do this, so let's get these aminals in.
Yeah, I don't want to touch that too hard. Looking at my stuff. Let's just work on the next thing.
The struggle couldn't be more real.
Thank you.
Low view angle.
We don't do Mongo.
Mongo's probably already
God,
running.
and then Mongo.
My Mongo has never stopped running.
Oh wait,
Okay.
Apparently in this laptop file it says use DBZoo, but then now it's trying to call it DB animals insert, so it's calling a different database here.
You need to set it to, you need to create the new database and point it and use that new database. So did you create a database called Zoo? And then say to use that database? Make sure you do that first in the command line.
Yeah. I mean, it is in the snippet. It's just basically that. You read. One more.
We're good now.
Oh, there's so many amazing animals out there, isn't there? Like the Duke here.
Like, hey, man, he's like, hey, why don't you die?
And grow up.
Okay, wait, what are we doing again? I'm creating
Yeah, are you using, so you also do Mongo? Okay, then you just run all the commands that are in here.
You can copy paste them all once for the record.
oh wait.
Or one by one. You want to be, real about it.
Like, okay, after learning it all once, I don't really feel like that's real.
Mongo always gets it heated every time.
Okay, wait, how can I push DB?
No, that's
Straight up.
This will tell you like inserted,
Just like right below.
or you
can also open up your Robo Mongo.
How much does a sea lion weigh?
I'm gonna say probably the 500-pound range.
They're pretty big, right?
You think you could take a sea lion?
Like in one piece.
Their skin is like 5.
Did you just say you could take a sea lion? Dude, those things are vicious, man. When they want to, they can really fight. Usually they just sit there going.
What'd I say? I said 250, 240 pounds.
That's for like a tiny one.
Right?
A female, maybe.
They on average.
I think that's a Japanese sea lion.
They didn't start putting qualifiers. I gotta guess I was the closest dealer.
I was far closer to the average.
No.
The largest sea lion, the Stellar sea lion, can weigh 1,000 kilograms, 2,200 pounds. Maybe I was talking about the Stellar sea
Maybe.
lion.
Should quantify.
He's stellar.
150 pounds.
Yeah. That's but you have to kill them for take hours.
I'm gonna go for 300. I've seen some pretty big sea lions.
So that was going off that whole National Geographic when that dude was taking photos.
Well, they're drastically different in size too. When you see them, there's like a really skinny, tiny one, and then this big, giant, fat one. So.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I'm faster than that thing.
You can run away from it. You're not gonna kill it with speed.
Okay, so.
You're still discussing if you can fight a sea lion?
I think
I have on you.
How many?
5.
This
Yes.
is the one you were working on.
But I got it to work.
Good job.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to fight a sea lion.
No.
I mean, they're sea dogs. That's why they call sea lions.
That's
Canine zoo and aquatic world.
Okay.
This one says.
Okay.
What's that?
I'd rather find an
You rather find an obelisk?
Yes, novels.
Yeah, that was all.
Hey, what is this skeleton?
A ritualistic.
Take this, you Tower of Stone.
Yes.
How dare you oppress us?
It's a pirate statue, so queries.
Is it the same? Is that the same skeleton that we got sent just like ago?
No, it's different.
It's different.
No.
It totally is different. Check it out.
Okay, has everybody entered their
Hey, for the record, this time you can face it all at once. So it goes inside.
Well, all that stuff's in there.
I would just move it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's good. You're not getting it right. The real problem is, it sounds so sad.
Okay, so everybody has their stuff entered, correct? Cool. So let me go ahead and run through entering a few up here on the screen for everybody. Everybody's enjoyment.
A sea lion ranges from 200 to 2,000 pounds.
Yeah, the stellar sea lion, very stellar.
Still fashion.
Well, you didn't say an eastern sea lion.
Monty Python.
It is. It's Monty Python all over again.
You gotta be very specific.
Yes. Did not specify. Okay, I'm rapidly falling behind here. It is not okay. No egg rolls for me. If I don't pull this through. Okay, so I am going to open a terminal window and I'm going to run Mongo. And okay, my server's running. Then I'm going to get another bash window, or terminal window if you're on a Mac. And I'm going to go ahead and go into the Mongo shell. Using Mongo. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and, oh wait, 1 second, guys. I'm sorry, 1 second. Thank you. Thank you, Randall.
I'm here for it.
That's for sure.
Is it? Yeah. And it was TV.
Classroom.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I believe the database was Zoo, right? Is what they wanted to name it? Okay, so I'm going to say use Zoo, and I've switched to database Zoo. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my create commands that I created. All right, so did you say you had a piranha in yours? Oh, okay. So that's a cool choice. Yeah, no, now you want to add a piranha. So I'm going to add my first one here, a dukier. Has anyone ever heard of a dukier?
Yes.
What did you call
A dukier.
Whoa.
You do know what a dukier is, Michael?
Like really tiny deer?
It's spot on, man. Good God. Have you been to the San Diego Zoo?
Nope.
At the San Diego Zoo, they have so many dukiers that they throw them in like every other habitat. It's like a dukier hanging out with a polar bear and shit like that. So my name for it is Stupid Little Deer.
Oh,
You can't help that he's tiny.
Can we insert a dick pic?
You could.
It's a tiny envelope.
Everyone knows what a dick pic is.
No, Jim's over here shaking his head at me. Like,
Yep. Have you seen macaque?
Yeah.
All right, next animal I'm adding, as I said, is the sea lion. I call it No Ears Water Dog.
Like 0?
oh,
It has no legs.
I mean, it has destiny.
Like Lieutenant Dan.
I mean, when I think 0, I think like a snake.
It's like Lieutenant Dan. That's just wrong. Next is Komodo dragon.
It's also called a legal character.
You have any questions?
Little character do
It's like the equivalent of busy work. I want you to go to Komodo dragon tell it it's not a dragon.
Character.
Face to face.
True.
You're not a dragon.
True.
Whatever really cool is stripes.
Yeah, quite a
Where do I have to?
Animals,
That's beautiful.
All right, next one I'm going to add is the zebra. Oh, I hate this Mongo shell on PC.
It's called prison pony.
I know, switch to that.
Just waiting for that moment, weren't you?
No.
Why are you having so many problems with Mongo?
It's the shell. Keep doing something wrong with it. You didn't have this issue. Well, good for you. Chase, stripy horse, and last is going to be the Fusa, the thing from that movie. All right, so Madagascar. Okay, so I've added my animals to my my zoo database, my exciting zoo database. What am I gonna do next? How could I continue to build upon this? All right, so I want to pause really quickly to discuss one of the important differences between JSON and VSON, okay? So when we're working with this, it's easy to get carried away and smile and feel tingly inside because it looks like JSON. And technically it is JSON, but it's binary JSON, it's VSON. Okay, so it allows us to do some things that we can't do with JSON. What's one of the major limitations of JSON? Derek, do you know what the one of the major limitations of JSON is?
Thank you.
On our last class.
Did I?
Yeah. What was the thing that we always have to do when we're taking JSON in when we were back when we were working with Ajax and we were trying to?
We have to like parse it. Like,
Yeah. And why is it that we have to parse it? Anybody?
Because it looks ugly if you don't.
Victor, what is one of the restrictions of using JSON?
There are none. Trick question.
All your values are going to be strings when you're using JSON. Okay, so that's one of the limitations of it. All right, when we're using this binary JSON, suddenly we can have things like booleans and boolean.
Make a soup.
Bam!
Oh,
Channeling Emerald here. Booleans and integers as well. So something to just keep in mind. Okay, just keep that in the back of the head. All right. And then moving right along.
All your keys will be strings, but your values can be anything, even JSON.
You
Yes.
set something to default, like to default false on the binary, or do you have to set it?
So one of the commands that we worked with yesterday allowed us to add a field to multiple records at once. And so you could set multiple records to include a field that was set to false. So you can do that for multiple records. Yeah. And there's commands in the RoboMongo that you can also use to manipulate multiple items. So if you wanted to set multiple records to false and it had a Boolean field, you could do that if it already existed as well. Okay. So if you refer back to some of the stuff we did yesterday, we were doing that. When we said has candy, we were talking about that. We were trying to hand out candy to everybody in the application, and so we wanted to create a new field, has candy object, and that has a Boolean in it set to false. Do you remember that part?
Yeah.
So we would use a command sort of like that. Okay. Okay, so what we're going to do now is there's one more important MongoDB feature that I want to go over before we connect the database with Node. And back when we were working with MySQL, you may remember that we had a way to sort our results, right? Okay, so that we could organize our data before we put it out on a website or something like that, so that it was in the right order when we actually append it to the DOM or add it to our actual website. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a file here. What? Okay, so taking a look at this file here, we see that we have created a few ways of sorting results, all right? So we can sort by the syntax that we see here, db dot whatever the collection name is, dot find dot sort, okay? And then what we're using is we're using a value here. Let me wrap this so we can all see it.
We don't have this.
You do not have it yet.
Okay.
And then what we're doing is we're sorting, okay? And what we're doing is we're saying a value of 1 to set ascending order and a value of -1 in that field to have a descending order, okay? So these are commands that we can actually use in the Mongo shell. Now remember, we did have that .pretty to kind of prettify the JSON, format it, make it in the terminal look correct to us.
These are two separate commands. One just.
All right, so let's go ahead and run one of these in the, let's run one of these actually, since it works so well when I use this shell. All right, fingers crossed. I'm not fatalistic. There we go. All right, sweet. Oh, I have two stupid little deer, or little stupid deers.
If I put, you put pretty.
a little stupid
after that,
now.
we could-
Yes.
Yeah, so you're saying if I took that command that I had and I said .pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
You got me.
So it's basically just giving us better formatting on the JSON to use that .pretty method.
This is the parsing that you mentioned, right?
Basically, all I'm doing is running commands against the Mongo shell.
Okay.
Yeah, so just like I did when I was adding records just a second ago, those records. But these are the methods that we're going to use within our actual files when we start creating API routes to hit the database. We're going to use the same syntax that we use in the shell. And so we're just using it in the shell, and we kind of stripped it back so that you just focus on one technology at a time for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and Slack these sorting methods out to everybody. That's 4-sorting. Cool. All right, so the sorting field 1 and sort gives us, like I said, ascending order. Sorting field -1 gives us descending order. Okay, so go ahead and spend maybe 1, 2, 3 minutes practicing sorting in the Mongo shell. We're not going to spend too much time going over this, but it's important to get your feet wet in some of these little methods that we're going to use because there is obviously a use case for sorting. We're not scraping anymore. We did some scraping. Now we're just doing Mongo, and then we're talking about tying it into Node, but we wanted to just introduce sorting first before we move on to using Mongo.js.
So, Jim,
Yes.
did you, is there a way to copy and paste?
Yes. So copy it in the thing, and Control-C, same way you do normally. Go back, make sure you hit right on where your cursor is, click back into the shell, and hit Shift-Insert. Yes.
PC.
Huh?
PC.
Yeah, PC.
I just right click it.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine's not letting me right click. I'm all about the right click.
Yeah. I just click
That's something you Mac guys don't know about.
I'm
It's-
just like right
Oh, we have a whole other click.
Formatted.
I've got that right click going.
Yeah. That was like 20 years ago, Jim.
20 years ago.
All right, 10.
If you go 20 years ago, it was that Mac that came in a big ass plastic briefcase.
Sorry, let me just.
Portable computing.
Oh, the multicolored.
Do you remember the first
Yeah.
portable computer that Mac made? And it was literally a suitcase. It was a giant
Is that the
suitcase.
one with the girl's name?
Like tiny screen that popped out of it, like this little screen like this.
No, it was like the.
Okay.
So
That's what I was gonna do, right.
Okay, so
Binary, it's just auto paste.
now that we're all these Mongo masters of the Mongo, Mongo likes Sheriff Bart. Sorry, Mongo. Yeah, Mongo. Mongo straight.
We need you, Jim.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, no.
I got to start smoking so I can quit. Feel free to use that one. It always makes people go, huh? Say what? All right. Okay, so now that we're all these Mongo masters, it's time to apply our Mongo craft to Node, okay? So I want everyone to look up Mongo.js and try to find the library that we're going to look at. I kind of gave you the name, so it shouldn't be that hard. Where could it be? We all know that as developers, there's going to be plenty of times in our career where we're asked to just go out and find something, you know, figure it out. Okay, Mongo.js. Kind of reminds me of the only other song that I know from Space Hog. We all have Space Hog fans in here? No?
No.
What?
I'm sorry.
You're like way into music. You know who Space Hog is? Huh.
You know it if you heard it.
Yeah, it's someone that's like, "Ooh, ooh, ooh." That song. I don't know. It's a 90s song.
Yeah, rings a bell.
It was a one-hit wonder, kind of. He married
This one.
Liv Tyler.
Maybe.
Everyone
Everyone knows Tyler at some point.
He had babies with Liv Tyler. Not everyone had babies
No,
with her.
not everyone. Not everyone. There'll be a lot of babies.
Little creepy babies. All right, cool. So we found Mongo.js, and just as it says right here, excuse me, I don't want you to worry too much about the first section that we see here where it talks about usage and connecting to the database and everything just yet. The main focus is how we use MongoDB methods that we've already used. So we have already used MongoDB methods. We've worked in the shell. We've used all 4 of our very typical CRUD commands from the shell, right? Create, read, update, delete. So what I'm going to ask you to do is tell me how to do these methods. So how would we do something like find in Mongo.js? Anybody want to refer to the documentation? Help me figure that out. Okay. And what about insert? Dot insert. Okay. So, and then we could probably guess that remove and sort are going to work very similar to what we've already worked with before as well. Okay. So the main takeaway from this should be that we're using these methods is like nearly identical to running them from the shell. Okay. So one of the only real differences that we get by running it this way is we get a callback function. Okay. So now we have a callback function to handle the results of our query. Okay. Very useful, of course.
Can you scroll down to bulk updates?
Bulk updates?
Yeah, it's on that Mongo.js.
Let's see. Bulk. Whoops. Pull that. Bulk updates.
Hell yeah. Pidgeotto.
What's that? What are you looking at? What was
mine.
Yeah!
Gotcha!
Oh, it's Pokemon, right? Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, what the fuck is it? I'm like, is that a racial slur?
Yep.
Dates you, sir.
The world is over.
All right. All right. So if we take a look, so since we have this callback function to handle results, from there, it's really just about using Express to send the data to the browser, right? So we already know how to handle routes and create routes with Express. And now what we can do is we can actually have these routes, just like we kind of did with MySQL approach, different database, okay? We're going to be able to point these routes directly at something that the database and grab results, or directly post something to the database, right? Okay, so now what we're going to do is, I'm going to run this real quick. I'm going to run your next assignment in the browser so we can take a look at it. All right, so there we go. All right, so I have my server.js. And I'm going to go ahead and allow the access to Node. I forgot this is one of the first times I've actually used Node to launch a server on this new computer. Okay, so app running on port 3000. Well, excellent, excellent, excellent news. So if we go to localhost 3000, we get the hello world. Well, what else does this new app have? Well, we can go to /all, and we're going to get all of our animals that we just entered into our database, okay? Then we can do some other fun stuff. We could say, oh, shouldn't have done that. I can say Control Z, yes, very important to life. You know, name, and what we can see here is that we have actually sorted by name, I think. Yep. Name, we have sorted every animal by name. We can also do something like weight and sort all of our animals by weight. How did the zebra come out as the biggest one? I guess it is bigger than pretty big. Okay.
It really depends which sea lion we're comparing it to.
Fuck yeah, that one sea lion was big. So that's a big sea lion.
That's a big sea lion. It's not a sea dog.
Right. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to slack out the skeleton for this particular application that we see here. All right. So it's up to you now to take what you see here and make 4 routes for your zoo collection. The first one is just going to display that hello world that I showed. No Mongos required there. Second one's going to be every animal on JSON. Third one is name. Basically, sort the results in name, ascending, and then weight, descending. Okay, so those are the 4 routes that we want you to create. All right. This is where it starts to get fuller. The stacker is feeling fuller.
So this is conceptually kind of like your handlebars object, and then from there you can do what you want with it.
Yeah, what we're
You
doing.
can access it docs.name whatever.
Yeah. This could easily be applied to a handlebar template or Jade or whatever. I don't know if people still use Jade.
Apparently, it's called Pug now.
Pug.
Yeah.
Oh, fun. That's
Mr. Chance Hector.
more inviting to even Jade.
Anyway, Pug.
Jade Pug. Pug. Jade Pug. Pug.
What do you want so far? Maybe it's cool with
All right, so while you're working through this, just remember it is similar to the Mongo shell, but it's going to be a little different because you are applying it differently. So don't feel frustrated if you don't get it right at first.
Come on.
So remember, that's the command line. So refer to the documentation if you need help on how to the Mongo JS way.
Okay.
So then just like if we refer back to the documentation, we can search for sort in there.
Yeah, that was actually. Thank you.
Meeting weekend on a Thursday, Charles? Where do you know?
Oh, sure.
It's not in the package that Jason is.
You're gonna
Are you using some?
No, I'm gonna go look at all our street and just see if the API views and stuff before. That's why is salary of week 14.
Remember, we're only using app.get type routes. None of these are posts or updates or anything like that.
Since it's these. I mean, but not rest in file anymore, basically.
Yeah.
This would be, so, I think this is. No, the render is something to do with the page that works. I don't think you use render. Let's look at the documentation for JS.
Is it sent?
RES dot. Render.
Yes,
Oh,
it
yeah,
is.
got it.
It's sent.
Yeah.
So it's just simple as like rest.send and then our.
That's what I'm trying to.
Is that simple?
Nice. I mean, it's not.
No,
You
It's
could
not.
do the.
no.
all-
Yeah.
That's all I know what it.
So what is the reason behind it? Why is it in that format? Why does it look like that?
Why is it shooting out much in null and it's not talking to data?
Well, in here,
Make sure you follow the format that it says for you to use when you're handling your response.
So we're not gonna, it's not gonna be sent to.
Oh.
So, see your response methods here. These are the express response methods, right? So we've used a few of these, correct?
Yes.
Which one looks like it would be useful in this case? What kind of data are we working with?
JSON.
No, I mean, close. JSON with padding. Makes sense.
So is res.send just a catch-all?
It's basically saying send this as the body of my response.
Yeah, because that's what I use in still.
Oh, it was still working for you?
Yeah, and I mean, I do have JSON view installed in Chrome, so that helps it to be displayed correctly.
Look, everything.
I'm at the exact same state.
That's what I got.
Yeah, right. I'm returning.
So what is the object what is the parameter that you're using to hold your JSON that you get when you get your query back from the database?
What's it holding?
The second one, the second route that you make, right? That's the first one that you're grabbing from Mongo. So what are you trying to do? You're trying to use .find? Is that what you're using? What are you using? What are you approaching it with?
Yeah, response.json over parentheses db.collections.find.
Exact same.
Parentheses.
And then an anonymous function, right?
Yeah,
Function.
anonymous function. Yeah.
What are the parameters in that anonymous function? Do you have any parameters? So you're going to need to have a parameter that holds the error and then a parameter that holds the actual response that you get from that query. Okay, so if you're doing a search for find, you're going to need to be able to have a objects found or a found variable or something like that. Then a parameter there.
That's what it has in its docs too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Refer to the documentation, follow exactly how they set it up, and then work your way back.
No doc.
Well, you're not really worried about the no doc yet, but that is an important method of it. Yeah, app.get sets up your route, and then res is your result. Were you able to get a correct response at that time? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's so that's where this.
Yeah,
comes in.
rest.send docs after putting it inside of the
Is that the parameter they try to get you to use docs?
docs. Yeah, I just copied and pasted and used the.
Always a good first step. Copy and paste.
Copy and paste.
Great place to start from.
You're exactly right. I tried to write it myself. It was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
It didn't work out. This one
So
did.
what's going down? The sun? Or 8010? 8010. I need some sleep and or more coffee. Okay, and we got to move on because we need to get on our break, right?
Yeah, break.
So let's take a look at what the solution is, and your solution may differ. Obviously, there's a couple ways that we can use these queries. Let's take a look at the solution file to this activity that we do. So a lot of this was already in your server one, but I'll just run through it quickly. Initialize Express, set the variable for Express. Then we're grabbing in some dependencies, some database configuration stuff. Mongo.js, we're setting a database URL, and then we're setting the collection that we want to use, okay? And then what we're doing is we're just adding a hook for that DB variable. So similar to how we use the DB variable within the shell, now we're setting that DB variable here, okay? So we're setting it to be that MongoJS with those parameters that we just provided, zoo and animals. Okay. Down the page, we have just some error checking to if there's any errors that are logged to MongoDB. Okay. Further down, we get to our routes. Okay. So first route, pretty self-explanatory, just a simple root hello world. Next, we have our all. Okay. So we're creating a new route called to/all. First thing we do is we do our find query. Within that find query, we have an anonymous function that contains a parameter for any errors or whatever we get back from that database query. Okay. We have a little bit of error checking. So if there is an error, we log into the console, send it as a response using that rest.json, so it's formatted correctly. Okay. All right. So yes.
So up top, we were kind of wondering. Oh, did you get it working? I was wondering where we do var collections equals animals, but then we still do the dot animals whenever we're referencing the find function.
DB. Just talk about using DB dot animals like you did instead of DB dot
Instead
collections.
of DB dot collections. Just wondering.
I just got working for collections.
I use it with animals. Doesn't get matters actually. Because collections is animals, right?
I'll have to look at the source real quick. I'll have to look at the documentation real quick to answer that. But.
Yeah, no worries. Never mind. I guess it works both ways.
Okay, I'll get a more solid answer for you. Down there, we're on our next two routes that we have. We're following the same format. The only difference is that we're using this dot sort in conjunction with the dot find. Okay, so find dot sort name 1. So we're sorting by the name field ascending order. Okay, and then of course the last one follows the same structure, except this time we're sorting by weight and descending. So we use the -1 value. Okay. I think you already had this in your skeleton. The app.listen just launches the server and prepares to get any kind of API request. Okay. So I think we could all use a tasty snack now, or a cigarette, or whatever.
Tasty cigarette.
Yep. Hillbilly heroin, whatever it takes. Okay, cool. All right, so like I said, feel free to dig through the MongoJS documentation if you have any questions about it, or bring your questions to myself or our TAs, Rob and Hector. Okay. Yep. Ollie's just there's gonna be all these changes that are gonna come. Be shocked.
Yeah.
Man, that sounds like a great meme. Oh, I'd hate to see what a 10 would be.
Yeah, there is a part of the scale where it just becomes painful. It's a really confusing scale.
It's an earth-shattering meme.
Moving on to Thursday and calling it a weekend. See the new map?
What?
See the new map?
Oh my god, it's so dope. So dope.
What? That's the last thing you packed.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Perfect sense.
Where are y'all
You're
going?
the absolute like last minute. Like you're like, all right, I'm just playing this last match. And you start unplug stuff and go to like a wagon.
Just so you know, hang out in front of the.
Oh yeah, I'm super down to loiter at Witchwood.
No,
I agree with you.
We're gonna be absolute last thing. Awesome. Germantown. So good.
For Reinhardt.
Yeah, so good. The Buffy Mercy. That's really getting above. So she's like dedicated like single target right now with like UCO and Zenyatta and everyone else. And Mercy's good at single target, but I'm kind of filling the blanks, you know. With others, like you can have a Zenyatta and a Soldier 76. Yeah. And you're covering. Yeah. Wow. Or now with Hannah, like biotic grenade, twin biotic field.
Do you have a
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even, I didn't even use
So
that.
now Mercy
Yeah.
Maybe the buff. Like her blizzard is already a little here. Like it seems like it goes everywhere. It feels like no matter, like you hear her like do a little cry out for enemy freeze, and it's just like it's flying to run. It's we never get far enough. We kind of get away as if I'm getting the distance. In her the projectile, I think you pierce shields. Yeah, like I was like, you want to sound a lot like we watched this and she should be because like when she's on your gun,
I get that much.
she's like, oh, I turned the corner and I'm freezing you, and now your mobility is cut to like a third. Yeah, pretty much.
That is my favorite thing. Like when
Yeah.
I'm playing the Ace, it's just a freezing down, standing straight in front of them.
Yeah, I guess it's not.
Get a second.
Because I did it at first and it was fine.
The nursing Genji, which I'm not happy about. That's, they're getting rid of like, because you used to get a reset on wall. Like we're getting rid of that reset and we're changing his dash. His ult is like 2 seconds. So it's hard to pin him down. That's the thing he's supposed to be. He's so squishy. So hold on. But I can't my whole Genji game. Genji's hard to play as it is, and it's like, oh, one thing.
I made him on 76 just because it's like play so much people I can't get out of the bullet hose now. And that's I have to think I just shoot.
Come on, guys. So I don't know. It's on the PTR right now, so there's always a chance that you change it again. Like, we really screwed you. Yeah. They made a change to the hitbox, so hitbox is supposed to be smaller. They're like, this is. They said it's breaking other parts of the game, so they had to make them larger again. I was like, oh great.
Is the Honda hitbox small?
Everyone's getting hitbox.
The Honda hitbox is like
Right. You know, Genji.
in point the opposite direction.
Like scatter shot. It looks like you pointing your feet. Shoot, it's just like, and it's like, well, your hitbox is kind of in the area, so you're dead.
Yeah.
And it was a headshot, by the way. It was a critical.
There are times that like the hitbox is like an inch.
Right.
On the other side.
Right.
It is like, it is as long as it's not like a routine.
I haven't played as much. It's like once you start seeing all the bans and stuff go out on the cheaters, I'm just like, oh, cheating. I'm glad they're gone, but I'm just saying beforehand it gets kind of frustrating, especially like early comp. Like there's people I face like on Widowmaker where I'm like, they've got me cheating. Like they're headshotting every single time. It's like you turn a corner, they got you. Like Kemry is amazing. He's an amazing Widowmaker, and I'm like, I was shooting for so many shots. So insane. Like he has a compilation video. There's times where he's just like grapple up.
I don't know how people
Yeah,
do the grapple
I guess just whatever
like a
makes
headshot
change
wall.
on last. Yeah.
Kemry is amazing in that. Like some stuff he does is really cool. Like he'll hide behind a pillar and like dance with another Widowmaker, and he'll just grapple straight up and then shoot him because they're waiting for him to pop out. Left or right, look to look up. Like
Nobody ever does.
like, you know,
I need to have that move.
yeah, he's really good. And I'm just like, you should go. It's like, I don't want to call someone like that. She's right. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, I've
No,
noticed
it's
that.
like,
I'll get with equalize.
it is, but still, it's like, but when you hear that there's programs
That's
that
kind
are
of
like
like
trigger
marriage
bots,
with two of our baby bots.
and trigger bots like the worst of the
I'm
bots.
trying to
Because the way the trigger bot works is like,
equalize
as long as your mouse cursor is over someone, it shoots
and
automatically.
index and
You're just kind of pointing at things.
Oh, that's crap.
You know, aimbot is like a
with
snap.
equalize.
It looks really weird.
Well, I'm just gonna start
like a
pointing
turret.
just to
turrets.
pull it in and whatnot, just because
Yeah,
it's
trigger bot
users.
is a little more.
Pretty much it.
So
Very fun.
And then
And that's what you
Once
go
they
about
get that
some snipers that are running around. It's like, there's no way
they're
you're
kind of like using
gonna
the friend finder.
just like mouse over.
I'm just making yeah, you can go on and
you get stinger.
find someone who's like close to your
Never
skin.
done it,
It's
but
not really
Just like,
cheating.
it's an assist.
Slight
and
assist. Just take
So once I
Scotch tape.
once I do that, like,
Put it on your monitor, zoom in, use a red marker, tiny little dot.
That should be pretty simple.
Zoom out, you always know what your zooming point is. Between that piece there.
Sorry.
And get it, so it's super clear.
Once I do that in my idea, contracts and relationships was to
Never miss.
make
Never miss. You learn that stay your all non-scope.
like a table for drivers, a table for free woods, a table for others, and then start relating up to that. You know, or you have an option to like look at the bag or something like that, and it'll pop up a little display like, oh, this is what this guy thought. You know, that would be a good way. Yeah, I thought it'd be a good way to like pull from multiple tables. Yeah.
We tried doing
This sure seems a heck of a lot easier. This Mongo stuff. And I'm pretty sure that's the one in our stack. I think it's Mongo Express React. And it's Node and not MySQL Express React.
How's it feel?
That's amazing.
You're free. Yay.
I'm able to wake up whenever I want to. It's incredible.
So are you working somewhere or are you going to
Well,
take some
I'm doing a
time?
project management internship
Oh, you are?
right now, yeah. But it's only like a few hours a day, and I pick which days I go. So I just do whenever I need money. But other than that, so I'm just gonna recruit through this. That's awesome. When did your son graduate?
He graduated, let's see, so let's see, 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12. But then he spent a year at the, in Egypt at the University of Alexandria
Okay.
for like one last, it was for
Spent an entire year
certification.
there?
Yeah,
Wow.
he did. He was in what they call the Arabic Flagship Program. And so they spend the summer, they ended up, it was like either Syria or Morocco, and understandably Syria was off the table at the time. So then So 2013. So he's been in DC ever since. So he's looking. So his was in economics. He did history too, but you know.
Yeah.
So now he's looking at grad school, which I'm sure you will be doing at some
My mom drags me enough.
and she will continue to do so, as I have done with mine.
We'll see. I don't know, I'm just so burnt out with school after all of this, along with interning. I'm gonna need at least 5 years until I consider grad school. I'm gonna be working. And even then, like, if I find a solid line of work in this industry, I don't really know how cool grad school could be. Like, if I enjoy the job,
I think that's the thing with him. Because on the one hand, his take with economics is if you're going to go for it, you might as well go get your PhD to make it meaningful for economics. And if you're not going to stay in economics, then it might make sense to get a master's in something else, like business or whatever.
If I went with fidelity, then I probably could do grad school. But,
Well, it's because you can get them to pay for it,
yeah.
which a lot of companies will do after some time. Or at least pay for part of it.
Consider an MBA though. It's always helpful. Yeah.
It just depends on what you want to do.
I don't know.
I didn't figure it out. Like after undergrad, I worked for 4 years before I went to grad school. You know, it just took a while to kind of figure out.
Yeah.
And I didn't want it.
That's a huge commitment. And once I
This 3 years, yeah. Better,
We'll
yes.
see. Yeah. See your life takes me.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. I watched the stream.
Oh, you
Before
did?
my final.
I haven't even watched it.
I was watching your like before my final.
Are you watching?
Now, a lot of people
Yeah.
nowadays aren't even from,
It was pretty well. I liked it. Like,
they aren't even from.
Acacia said she was very.
people are like, I could tell.
But it's
It was just her on the screen, like, while everyone else was talking.
like last, everyone.
Oh,
And
Seahawks.
she was
No, it's
Warriors
Seahawks.
and Seahawks.
Yeah.
too, you know, 'cause she said
the stuff she was saying to me. I was just like, I'll let it go. You're talking.
Georgia.
It looks like you went well.
Oh, plus the
Come football
part,
season.
she was just like, get it over with, I want to go to Chicago.
I was like an hour before my final, I still hadn't even like. Look,
We lost the
I was just sitting in the library.
Because we don't want to watch it.
I'm done at all. I don't give a shit anymore.
Uh-huh.
Might as well just watch the stream.
Yeah, this is all happening.
I started studying like 20 minutes before. I got an A though, luckily. Like,
It's always hard to like,
Yeah.
Velasquez
No,
coach.
no, give it 2 minutes.
But I mean, Spurs won. They always win my team.
Yeah.
So did you watch the
Why don't the
other
Lakers
ones
be
too,
good?
or did you?
I just watched it. I was just waiting for hours.
They want
I
to
want to go back and watch the other ones.
I like
There's some pretty cool. Like they had one
It's
that
a-
everybody could draw
They should have inherited all those great
with like a whiteboard.
That was silly
Wasn't
and
that
fun.
awesome?
Yeah, yeah.
years.
Like everyone was just kind of holding their breath though, because like it only took one person to like make it like, you know, inappropriate for
Oh,
presentation.
which with our group is surprising that didn't happen.
I was very proud of our
Did I forget what technology did he say they used?
Canvas, like Canvas and
Corey, but their girls got
was it soccer?
I thought that was, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I definitely go back and look at the stream.
Yeah,
I really saw it. Like really so many points made.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, there were a few that were just really kind of out of
I
the
was trying to
box
remember
stuff.
what you did before or after.
So I was like,
you know what the last demo is a
Yeah, I like them on it.
or
Because
a
they do a lot
project
of
as well. Or is it?
I don't think the, like, they could do more.
Yeah, we did last
Did
day.
you?
Last day.
I think that's demoing our final project, right?
Yeah, was that a
I think we
team
did-
oriented exercise?
I don't believe so.
I think the last project.
I did also don't believe that there's some pitching on teams.
Okay.
So
Oh, is that right?
I believe
So
so.
free for all.
Can be, but it's not a requirement. Me,
They're like, here's some homework while you're trying to work
They
remote.
said that there was like 20 homeworks and you're allowed to miss, no, you're allowed to miss 2% of your homework. So if you do the math, like there's 20 homeworks on it.
20?
No, they said you miss 2 homeworks.
I thought it was 2.
4 is the number of times you can miss class.
Yeah.
Yeah, 95%.
You can only miss 2 homeworks.
Which is bullshit.
What?
For as much homework as we have. For as much as we have,
Bullshit. For 2.
I haven't missed any yet, so it's coming, we're down to the last 2.
you said, I know the final. I didn't miss anything.
Just bake it.
I
This
mean,
one, the final
honestly, just submit something, even if it's, at this point, they are so behind with the homework grade.
If
People
you
grade your
last
homework
one,
when you're already
like,
employed.
these homeworks,
you
or
do
like
nothing.
actual homeworks that gave me a grade. You know, it was kind of hard to balance those, but at the same time.
I still have another sequel after the register.
What? Right?
Yeah, so it was.
It was like
At
first
least
year, I just
it's
turned in
not
like
instrumental.
blanks. Like
Go
it was
for
pretty
it.
much just like a GitHub. I was like, I worked so much overtime, I'm like, I didn't even work on it. Like, I didn't even touch it.
They're not
I
gonna.
mean, he said in terms of the course, it's not
They have a
instrumental.
massive backlog.
Right.
They're
You'll
gonna
get it
focus
when the
on
class is
something.
over.
Well, O&M library.
Yeah.
Not, maybe not a specific library, but libraries in general that deal with O&M is very still useful.
Yeah, the more.
And there is one named Mongo, for Mongo.
I understand this much.
Yeah, this is more.
Seems a little redundant because Mongo itself is more or less object oriented. To have an object relational mapping library for an object oriented language seems like a necessary redundancy. But it may have some additional features we aren't aware about yet. So,
Yeah, we're covering that today.
I believe Saturday. Next class. Then again, we're going to have other things we're supposed to cover, like writing code tests and user authentication for Express, and we completely glossed over those. And they will come in handy for the context.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
SEO.
I did look it up.
Yeah.
And I tried using Google Word, whatever, but you have to pay for it.
Google AdWords.
Yeah. Like,
Is that for SEO?
I think there's a way of setting the location in the actual app.
I don't really know.
Gotta pull a voice.
Do you know what we have to do for that? Like, what's the criteria?
I think it's, in terms of like single versus group, I think it's discretion. Probably that, so, be more beneficial that way.
Is it
But
just whatever you want?
I would imagine, yes, full stack.
Full stack
Probably using React, I would guess. I'm sure we'll have other React. I feel like that's like our last big thing, I mean, Mongo, it's gonna be crazy complicated. Honestly, it's pretty simple so far. Especially after having learned, especially after having learned SQL. You know?
Yeah, you're assuming, yeah, okay.
No, I'm assuming a lot.
Yeah.
I'm sure it can be more complicated, but, I mean, it's just number one, working with JSON. It's just.
Today, cleaning up my
I know exactly how to access that.
yeah,
Yeah. Accessing is feeling good.
putting at least putting the ones that I want them to see up front, and then feel okay. Yeah. There's a couple that are like, oh. I was just gonna say, there's a couple that are just really, really but
It wasn't just.
It was jungle.
It was jumbled.
what were you gonna say?
We got. We had little time. Yeah, so I
You've been working on that this week.
Yeah, that's my plan for this week is to finish that. I was thinking about making videos too for some of the things, but we'll see if that happens.
The YouTube link for Froze and told me I had to sign in.
Oh,
Side
okay.
project I'm working on. We can try to do it for that.
Let me make sure that it's not public, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really should already.
Like on the mini,
Which is why it's
No,
safe to say that.
No.
to distract me.
I was listening to podcasts with one of the creators of this thing called and I think it was like CMS, I want to say, like WordPress. But he was saying that he had heard somebody else was not self-taught. And he was like, I'm not self-taught, I'm taught by the people that wrote the documentation. And I'm like, that is a great comment, because that's 100% true. If there's shitty documentations, then you're not going to have a fun time on the product. You know, if there's good documentation, then it's going to be easy. Or at least not easy, but it's going to be, there's a path, you know.
No, it's
Improve documentation, yeah, exactly.
That would be
No, I'm saying career. Yeah, for sure.
There you go. Exactly. Just like this.
And you would think
Glass
something.
mirror.
Okay, I think it should work now.
Being able to see my
I had it on private, so thank you for letting me.
That's good. Just.
That's right.
my pleasure.
We're commiserating our sequel life experience.
Yeah.
I wear suits. I don't wear suits.
Turn on the shower, sit in the corner, wrap your arms around your legs,
Drool.
rock back and forth.
Never clean.
Never clean. We've all been there.
What are we talking about?
When you drink way too much Goldschlager and way too much blueberry schnapps, and then you just like throw up this glittery, black spotted horribleness.
That sounds very specific.
We all started with bad liquor choices when we were 12.
Apple butters.
Oh, yeah.
Boone's
Yeah,
Farm.
in there.
Boone's Farm, ooh, Strawberry Hills.
Yeah.
I used to work with this woman, and she was like, her name was Rosie, and she was like, Tim, I love Boone's Farm. It tastes so good, and I had to keep one in the freezer so that when I wake up in the middle of the night, I could crack it open and drink it. And I'm like, you wake up every night in the middle of the night and drink a Boone's Farm? That's called alcoholism.
Yeah.
Wake up, never woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, like, I could go for Boone's Farm right now. Crisp and delicious. So much better than some warm milk. All right. Enough making fun of Rosie.
Productive.
Yeah, it's very productive. Okay, so we're still missing a few people. Randall just left. He's just like, Jim's not here. Not looking. I'm just gonna leave. All right, we'll start as soon as more of us return.
I haven't. I've kind of been
With that,
with it. So I think I'm going to start this week and next week.
Oh, my eye, Jim. I'm zooming.
Is low.
My back, my neck,
And that was one thing that I talked about too.
I don't see the
Everybody should be playing for like
You
2 hours every week. I was like, that's cool.
Elvis.
Elvis Costello, you don't think so?
But I will apply.
Cecile,
Yeah.
quick question.
Uh-huh.
When you were setting up the GitHub
Costello.
profile, they had to do it with set some configurations through the GitHub site itself, correct?
Mhm.
Including both the setting of the callback URL and the origin URL.
Just the classes?
This is what I had to do.
Gotcha, and that's all.
It's an OAuth
That's-
application.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Because Adam, the other class is doing that with a Google Plus API.
I was telling him
He's
that
having the
even though he
exact
thinks
same
he's
having
an
the
original,
internal server
everything he
after
does is borrowed
the
from somebody else.
So,
He needs it.
It's all derivative.
He needs his keys.
Hector.
And it's just not finding a way to.
It's all
that's what I was,
derivative.
Exactly.
that's what I was thinking because he had to set his process in the
Nothing is new
dot
or
keys
unique.
dot user.
All
After we're just simply storing that into Heroku.
Mhm.
But I don't think it has a local machine.
Mm.
That's
The what
what's
is?
effective. It's just trying to run it off the Heroku app. It should have those.
Yeah.
Should.
Also not
If he's
original.
passed them to Heroku, but I don't know if he has.
Okay. Yeah, that's another option too. So with Heroku, it's like Heroku config : and then claim.
Gotcha. I'll make sure he's branded.
I wonder if you could use one of these in the laser
And he
place.
can just he'd find that easily. Just type in
Config show.
yeah,
Infrared.
exactly.
Oh,
Or
is it
Heroku
infrared?
config,
Oh,
and it'll show
infrared
the
laser
exact
thread, laser
like
tag, and then
you know
Okay.
way to set it up.
Gotcha.
Oh wow, that's right, because it has to. Did you work at a laser tag place or something?
No, I just played it.
I just love laser
I
tag.
just love it.
Friends
Of
go
course, here in Austin, no one plays laser tag. They play laser tag.
That place. The guy who owns that place, I met him once. He's got a bank of TVs in his house that are wired up to the video cameras inside, so he doesn't have to go into work to check on his employees. So he just watches them all the time.
Just watches. He just has these TVs that he watches children on all day.
Yeah.
It's not creepy or anything. Without their knowledge, I should add.
Almost close like
You can see the camera.
What's that?
You can see the camera. It is with their knowledge, Jim.
You really have risen and filled Holly's pants tonight.
Don't worry, Jim, I got you.
I think that's a proper terminology. Fill her shoes, I think, is the way it is.
Shoes, pants.
They're kind of connected.
Yeah.
Is everybody back in?
Yeah.
Doom squatters, where are they? Did they just decide to go drinking or something?
Continue. Continue.
All right, well, this is new stuff. We should have everyone here. Let's give it another minute, maybe.
So if you go to Wikipedia,
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We gotta move. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we are going to, well, now that we have the back end working without the MongoDB, we have one last component to add to make this a full stack app. So what is the last component to make this full stack? Yeah, a template or to render it out to the front end, right? So the front end is the last portion of our stack that we have not covered, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up another file on here and run it for you guys so you can see how the application runs. Oh, shit. Oops, wrong one. Six. Okay, so we'll run this, git bash, oops, solution, git bash here.
It's a good.
All right. You're not fooling anyone. Okay, there we go. Yes, okay, so I'm going to run my server.js. And if I, hopefully, nope, I got something running still on my 3000. Yep. There we go. So let's try that again. And great. So it says app running on port 3000. Okay, so let's take a look at what is actually running on 3000. So if I go to localhost 3000, I get a table. Okay, so just like my last application that I was working on, I now have my zoo animal data rendered out to the front end. And guess what? I built some application into it. You can sort by name, sort by weight. What do we notice about these sorts?
The page is refreshing.
The page is not refreshing, actually.
It's not?
No. Do you see the button changing? It's so fast that it looks kind of like it's refreshing. But really just the table is refreshing itself. Okay? So it's using Ajax. That's right. And it's completely wiping out whatever it had and replacing it every time because guess what? The database could have been updated in between you hitting the app and another person adding an animal, right? So it's refreshing that. So we're using jQuery here. We're using our Ajax style commands to do this, okay? Also, we're using this sexy table, okay? Very sexy. Okay. So now that I've demonstrated this, I'm going to slack out. We're going to slack out the skeleton to this project. So 6-Mongo.js and the front end. And go ahead, when you get these files, go ahead and open up app.js, okay? Thanks for returning, guys.
You're welcome. We just wanted to wait just long enough to make you sweat.
Yeah, well, mission accomplished.
Wait,
Sweat. Music take control. Let the rhythm move you. No, stop. All right, so once everybody gets this, let's go ahead and open that app.js under the public folder, okay? This is where you'll find the instructions for this activity, okay? So it says, 1, make an Ajax function for loading the table in the index.html file with the data from your animal collection in MongoDB. Each row should have the info for one animal, so a document per row, right? Make 2 Ajax functions that fire when the user clicks the 2 buttons on index.html, okay? The first one, when the user clicks the weight button, the table should display animal data sorted by weight, okay? And if they should click the other one, the table should display the animal data sorted by name, okay? Good luck.
What?
This one's ringtone. Very awesome.
I feel like I'm in one of like the advocate conference rooms.
Yeah, you like that song, huh?
Yeah,
I do
actually.
Like it too. Marky Mark's come a long way. Wait, was that Marky Mark?
Yeah.
No.
Wait.
No.
Wait.
C&C Music Factory?
Yep.
Yeah, feel free to discuss this amongst each other's. Cohort it up. I got you. Feel like a cat.
And just to be clear, we don't need touch server JS, app.js.
Just create the create the ability to take what's there and render it out to that index.js. Okay? I'm calling. So we've had all the steps up to this point. This is the last step, the front end step. Tell him what's up. We're going to move fairly quickly through this one, and then we're going to have one more after this that will kind of bring it all together again. Okay. Because we're just kind of spent more time with questions and answers, which is always good. I prefer to do more question and answer with less anything else. This night is packed full of activities. All right, let's take a few more minutes on this activity, and we'll run through it line by line and make sure everyone understands, but kind of move this one quickly. We want to get to our last one, which is doing all this plus scraping the data to populate the database.
That's all of that so far. I'm trying to figure out how to access the data database. I'm not about what order I'm writing. Because the backend file is the exact same syntax from.
Maybe let's try it.
Provides a URL, so and it provides a URL to query. So I'm going to query that URL straight away. So the exact same syntax.
The tables are
Same build. But
Yeah, each document should be a row.
That's what I'm thinking. Ah. Okay, I think I know.
Because you're gonna set that for that.
Yes. I wanted to have that here.
That's all. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, just
So
make it.
we're gonna have to find out what juice is for that attached.
I'm just trying to see if I can do that. Let's see if this works. Okay. We'll go ahead and get rid of this. Of course, not change by zero. Well, I'm not sure this works because it's front end. It may not even need that. Or the Mongo DB Connect. There's a new later on click function. Event running prevents from refreshing. Query URL is low plus data as all, which is our route. And Ajax with URL being query URL. Method is get and not done. Function takes response to that, which over here is defined as a JSON object.
It is.
At which point I should be able to put that in the parameter response and console log it, at least go in theory.
Check it.
Now it's running it on. Instead I have console error. Requires not find FPS line 4.
So it looks like you've done.
And see, I have to as unique sort on click. And the X modified.
Did you roll the jQuery? In your issue?
No, there isn't jQuery.
Alright, time for the jQuery.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't have it in there. Can't find this idea.
You are correct.
I can't remember how to do
Yep. Well, first ask yourself, what's your Ajax method that you're going to use when you?
I mean, it's just like I can't remember how to parse out the data because it's like you gotta take.
But is there a more specific one that you can use? So get is one, right?
Oh yeah, I remember doing this one.
What are you trying to get?
JSON.
Right.
Get JSON. That's a method.
Think back to the jQuery days.
It hurts. It hurts so bad.
jQuery just chaps my.
Ajax commands.
Not found.
Not found.
All right, one more minute, guys. One more minute. Don't worry, you'll get to experiment with what you're trying to do here on the final activity today, but with the added bonus of scraping thrown back in too. So we did each thing individually, and now we're just bringing it all back together.
All right. So what do you do then?
Here's the church. Here's the steeple. Open it up. There's the people.
Had to have it logging.
All right.
This is just creepy, by the way. I don't know why. What's wrong? It's like that thing where, have you ever met someone who has that aversion to something that looks like coral? Like objects that look like coral?
Tryptophobia.
Whatever it is. I think that's a fear of turkey, but tryptophan phobia. Yeah.
It's simply as where it adds on the answers to the two
Yeah.
and this can call them around. And then simply handling that as get request, at which point.
Like that frog that puts the eggs in its back. Have you ever seen that frog? Oh, see, you have it. You have it.
No.
It creeps you out. Yeah. And then the eggs kind of hatch and they open little holes in its back flesh and they hop out.
Hey, Jim, is there a private Slack channel on your Jim?
No. Is there?
I just tried to create. So I found out that people have accidentally been creating Slack channels when trying to contact another person. So there's like a hashtag Derek.
Hash, because they're using, instead of at, they're using hash.
Yeah, and then there's like a hash chance.
I agree with that.
So there is a gym chat.
Is there stuff in it that I should
I
be
don't
aware
know.
of?
I can't get it. I think there's a private channel that talks just about you.
Do you remember the Senator Anthony Weiner?
Yes.
Yes.
some of that going on in that channel. Wait, was that to everybody? Whoops. Should have read the user manual on Twitter. I suddenly sent my senatorial penis to everyone in the world. Great.
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely about to create a senatorial penis channel.
Oh God.
Okay.
And productivity has come to a
On YouTube? Put that on YouTube. All right. So let's take a look at the solution here. I know we probably have not had time to finish, but that's okay. That's okay. All right. So we have our server.js. That has all of our routes, all of our Excel stuff, access stuff, Express stuff. Woo, I got Microsoft applications on the brain today or something. All my stolen Microsoft applications. Okay, so, oh shit, I'm broadcasting this on YouTube. Just kidding.
Go ahead and apologize to the NSA for that one.
Just kidding, Steve Ballmer. Okay, so what do we need to do? Well, I have this app.js file is being loaded up into my index.html. So I can prove that by pulling index.html over here. Very last meaningful line of the body is adding the script tag, okay? So what happens when this page loads? It gets to the bottom and it loads that script. What happens when it loads that script? It starts from line 1, right? It just starts compiling or processing it. So it's going to go and it's going to, as soon as you hit index.html, it's going to run this JS and it's going to come down to this first line here that's a JavaScript line on line 9, and it's going to use this $getJSON method. And it's pointed at our API, okay? So it's perfect. We're getting JSON from a JSON spitting API route. Match made in heaven, right? So then we're using a for loop to go through each entry in that JSON, okay? And we have this results ID, which is where our table is, okay? Wait, where's results?
line 37.
Ah, there it is, sorry. Yeah, so we have this results, and then we're just adding in, appending all of these data values using the incrementer to identify the current iterated object, okay? All of our JSON nodes and spitting them into these TDs and one single table row. Okay? Does that make sense so far? Next, we have our button interactions. So these ones are surrounded by a dot. What? These are surrounded by an on-click method. Okay? First thing we need to do is we need to empty the results table. Why is that important? Well, I think I discussed it before we even started working on this. User databases can be updated, and they frequently are, thank God, right? So data needs to be refreshed. We don't want to just append data on top of other data too, because then it would just be repeated data. So we're emptying the entire table. Because we do that, first thing we have to do is actually append back the table headers, okay? So you see this row with all these TH tags. Those are the headers that were there originally. We have our API call to the wait. To the wait API route, the endpoint, and we're running another loop. Same thing. We're adding these. We're using jQuery to add the data to the table. Okay. Then our last click function, which is for the. Is it the same? Okay. Yeah. Name. Sorry. I'm like, didn't I just do name? Once again, we have to empty, append. Then we get to our actual route. Same things happening there. We're looping through and adding each value to the table. Okay. So each time it loops, it's creating another row. Right. Creating a row and filling it up with data. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and Slack this out to you guys. Hey, Rob, have we been slacking the solutions afterwards so far?
Not since Saturday.
Not consistently. We don't even.
We
You
have
guys
a
are all
solution.
way to the top.
Hey, we have a solution.
What'd you say?
Can you scroll all the way to the top of this?
Certainly.
Yeah,
You're doing great.
I think we got some of them out there.
Where are, I was looking down when you started.
Also-
Where are clicky events happening?
Clickiness?
Yeah.
Right here.
Oh, okay. There.
So both of our clicks are, all the code for are wrapped in these on-click methods here.
Okay.
So name sort and wait sort. clicks.
So Jim,
Yes, sir.
it looks like the .append method, there's no difference because it's got to follow the same table structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the weight sort click, is it already sorted by weight because of the database call? It sorts it by weight?
I actually have a solution for that one. Take a look. Obviously, my solution didn't quite get finished, but there you go. Simply on click time, simply calling the URL with the /name/weight, depending on what we have set up in the server, because those servers are set up.
Right. I'm just asking about the sorting. Like, I guess because in the server, it was set up in the server.
So you're looking back at the server.js and you're
Yeah,
looking at the
so
route and you see that it's already
It's
sorted.
like pre-sorted.
So the data is coming sorted by weight automatically.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, Michael. Yeah, I was just.
Everyone gets that, right? What he was asking there. It's essentially that, I guess, the button click, if you didn't sort it the other way first, then it wouldn't really have a meaningful action that happened. I mean, it would do something. It would delete the table and just re-put it back in the same way. Okay. All right. Cool enough. So let's talk about our last assignment for today. Okay. Really quickly, just to recap the app.js file, using the jQuery Ajax to grab data from the API route that are defined in server.js. We didn't touch server.js, but that's where the routes are. It takes that JSON object that the server sends and appends it to the table. Pretty easy, okay? Last, but certainly not least, for the next 40 minutes, we're going to kind of bring together everything that we covered today. So we had all these different topics. We had scraping, MongoJS, MongoDB. It's all going to be a full stack MongoDB application now, okay? So what I'm going to do is demonstrate the final activity for today. So git bash here. And what I'm going to do is run, oh, let me close my other server first. Close this server. And let's go ahead and all right, running on 3000, so let's refresh. Okay, so we have our hello world route. Oops, 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 oops. Let me see here. So if we go to /all, empty database, empty data set. Oh, I think I have to initiate the scrape first. Scrape complete. Okay, so I've initiated the scrape by going to that route. Now let's see if I get something. All right, cool. All right, so when I correctly ran the scrape first by going to the /scrape endpoint, I got a message back that said scrape complete. Then I was able to go to all, the endpoint /all, and it gave me all that scrape data back from my Mongo database, okay? So full loop, gone out, got the data, put it in the database, then refreshed it, rendered it out to, well, not really the front end because this is just JSON, but if we wanted to, we could always use the methods that we learned in the last one, right? Okay, so this particular thing is scraping, was it the Y Combinator site? news.ycombinator.com. Let's see what directions they want to do. It's basically scraping this website here, Hacker News. Okay. So let's take a look at what they want you to do. So you need to fill in. Okay, so
what's the Yahoo site? With a Y?
I think it is. I think it was a Y Combinator is a Yahoo tool. I think. Okay. So what we're going to do is, and we're going to go ahead and Slack out the skeleton starter files if we haven't done that already. That's coming your way. Basically, if you open up server.js, Oh, let me just double verify something here. So if I go to RoboMongo, now that I have scraped and I've seen it on my site, if I connect to my Snarf database, I see my scraper database here. And in the collections, I can actually see my scrape data. And there it is. So I can actually see that that data has indeed made its way over from being scraped into the actual database. Okay. So that's something that you can do. You can use RoboMongo to verify the state of your data there. Okay. So using the tools and techniques you've learned so far, you will scrape a website of your choice, then place the data in a Mongo database. Be sure to make the database and collection before running this exercise. Okay. Feel free to consult the assignment files that we've used earlier. You will also need to add 2 routes. I'm sorry. You will also need to have the 2 routes they need to make spec'd out to be the right spot on JS. So route number 1, this route will retrieve all the data from the scrape data collection as a JSON. Now this will be populated by the data that you scraped using this route, route number 2, which is the actual scraper data route. When you visit this route, the server will scrape the data from the site of your choice and save it to MongoDB. Okay, so we have one route that goes out and scrapes and saves to the database, and another route that goes out and grabs the database and returns the JSON. Okay.
And what was the finished sort of product there on the?
There's essentially 2 routes in this application. There's the all, which goes and shows us all the data that we have that in the MongoDB and that's what we scraped. Yeah. And then there's a /scrape. And that basically just shows scrape complete, but it's scraping the data and then putting it in the MongoDB.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so this assignment right here is gonna be directly relatable to the upcoming homework. All right, so good stuff to practice and whatever.
Well, I hope that means we're getting a solution flagged out after this.
On Saturday, sure. No, I'm gonna slack out the solution for this particular one.
Okay, I was just like, we just can't wait till Saturday.
Your words, Jim.
I need some
I got these cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers?
Damn cheeseburgers. Okay. Man, I got some cheeseburgers.
Nice, Jim.
Build my life with blaxploitation movies.
Oh my god.
I really love. Have you ever seen Superfly?
No, I have not.
It's amazing.
It's got a great soundtrack.
It does.
Yeah, I've got that one.
I've been listening to that Survivor. The band that did the soundtrack for Stranger Things or whatever.
Oh yeah, Survivor.
Yeah.
Or Survive.
Oh yeah, Survive.
Survivor.
Yeah, they're
Survivor that I had the Tiger band.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was confused for a second.
Survivor.
It's on repeat.
Oh yeah, you want it on repeat? But right after everybody dance now.
Haunting me.
Good vibrations. The whole time I was thinking about the Mark song. It sounds exactly.
It does. That's why I
Good
said.
vibrations.
That's why I was joking and saying that it's Marky Mark, but no, it's not.
The whole time I was
The woman who sings the "Everybody Dance Now" thing, I think she actually sued. She was like, "I better be getting more royalties." That's how everyone recognizes the song.
And then another one.
Got nothing out of it.
And then that will just pop application object on screen. With everything we screen.
Hammer time. Every time. Never forget that MC Hammer was on Death Row Records.
Yeah, I was wondering how that guy got
He was Suge Knight's first person that he signed.
He's just got no idea.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. He's not as cool anymore. Not as gangster. That is not gangster.
Yes.
Here comes the amp.
John, it's the only one
I've been reading.
it took me just
Example.
So routes go.
And when you in the Mongo shell, when you type DB, it returns that.
Have you inserted any records or anything into it yet?
Yeah, no, not yet.
It may not show the roll along until it actually has some sort of collection. It may need to have a collection.
That's fine. I also. What does it say? Scream?
it's a scraper.
Just kill these and try it again.
I'm trying to build a scrape queue route, right?
Yeah, I was just breaking the database first.
Gotcha.
Stop. Let me see your server that's there. Yeah, the only two things in there are server that they also and right? There you go. Server down.
Yeah, we do. What website are you using? Okay. No, you're listening to
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I was gonna lose it like 9, 10.
Okay. Can you show the JSON again, the /all?
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that one should be pretty easy.
Yeah.
That one should be pretty much
the very first.
copy paste. Yeah.
scraper.
Your scrape data.find or whatever you named it.
Yeah, I was just making sure I know.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I like your hat, Ruben. Dope hat. Does it have your name on the side of it? That's how it is. It's pretty fly.
Trash. Yeah, I bought this like in high school. I thought that was more so.
It would have been way dope if it had someone else's name on it.
Right. I remember seeing people like at those moments like rest in peace or whatever. They'll have people rest in peace to Robin.
Oh my god.
Robin.
Jesus.
Cincinnati Bengals. I'm gonna stop.
And kids stitching names on their halves. What happened to a nice teardrop tattoo on his face? Call me conservative.
Call me conservative. I stick to my traditional around the face. Yes. I'm thinking real.
I think I lost it. I can't.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's all gone. I forgot what I was about.
I forgot that it was blind.
Oh, dude, everything.
Yeah, that was clearly entirely That's why you wore that hat.
Where they go? Oh, Mike's just. Spooky skin Joe.
I feel like that's what we have to do. And then instead of just constantly on the other side, we actually have to move on the other side.
My wits end.
That's cool. Response.
Do you have things going on?
I believe I'm able to stream later. I just need to push into the database and then
URL will post it. Are you working on like with that thing? Cable test?
Okay, so that's.
Yeah.
Here it is. Say what? No, it's not. It's supposed to go into whatever.
I'll share possible.
it's constant blocking.
That's probably what sounds going to
Now I have to think. Oh God, I hate thinking.
Yeah, I'll harvest the data, go through the Y Combinator, then declare the Cheerio and result within that. At which point, the class is updated for each one of them, increments.
Scrape a site that's entirely advanced.
And from that on, find data in there, and then push it in there.
But you know the thing is, if you go to the source, I guarantee you there's probably still English as the class names and ID names because guess what? Imperialism. Yeah, English became the language of business. Programming became the language of imperialism. Little island, able to force everyone to speak.
It is actually in English.
Yeah, see, it's actually in English. Yeah, because HTML is just like sign language, for instance, is another one. All sign language is in English. That's why it's called American Sign Language. By the way, sign language is kind of racist. Have you ever seen some of the symbols for things? Like it was made in a time when racism was more common. There's some pretty bad ones out there. No, I don't know American Sign Language. First of all, I don't know American Sign Language. Do you?
Now
They're dropping the racist symbols. Well, there you go.
At least South China says
so.
I mean, this is probably
Oh, that's wrong. Oh my God. Do you see what it says there? See, that's what I'm talking about. It was like, it was created in a time when. Can't you read? See? Twisting the index finger next to the eye. Didn't know that, did you?
dropping knowledge today.
But apparently they've removed those. They've changed the sign language, so that's good.
Onto the page.
When was this article?
Before the internet existed, 1994.
He shows what it would look like.
Like how to target the element. Okay,
Oh
so
wait, no, I understand.
in his case, it's like not set.
Pulling your hands away from each other to vertically form extended silhouette of Japan. Well, that's clearly Japan there. How do you make the island of Japan with your hands? Like cut off the tip of your finger. There's Okinawa. Oh my god.
Do you do like a Hiroshima?
Oh my god. Oh shit.
You didn't know that, did you?
No.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's awkward, you know? Yeah.
What the hell are you saying?
Japan's firing back. You can't make this shit up. You just cannot make this shit up.
So what's the
You know, that's actually like the most popular
Yeah,
surgery.
I think if you use proper makeup techniques, you can do the same thing without surgery, right? I've seen the tutorials. I'm like, oh my god, our eyes are crazy anime eyes now.
They have like an eyelid glue.
Yeah, like creates the hole or whatever.
Yeah.
I knew an Asian girl who had one eye that had the hole and one eye that didn't. I was like, that's the worst. And I never even think about it, but apparently she was from Thailand. Apparently it's such a big deal over there.
What did you have?
I wish I could
Right in the eye.
No, I stopped.
You're interested in American Sign Language?
Oh, yes, I am.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah, all the chocolate didn't help.
Good. I can help you become deaf. And blind. Water, Helen, water.
Damn. The first time.
No, not like in Family Guy. Jesus Christ. Get some fucking culture. Do you know what the Wishmaker is, or wait? Just call it Wishmaker. The movie, yes, the play that became a movie. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was
Water, no.
Oh, wait, that's the mid Wishmaker.
I'm pretty good.
Is that now? So lucky this is a video.
I'm a stage actor.
All the time. What would happen if I said
What, is Helen Keller still alive? Punch the bitch. I don't see it coming.
God damn it, I was gonna do it, Jim. Like my wrong bench for
Duck and move.
I'm into that. Young African social.
Yeah, but that's not.
Business and political.
You went into this.
All right, so how's it going? Has anybody run into any problems right now? Trying to get this to raise and populate.
It's pretty.
Yeah. No, that's not. We don't want to do it outward, which is fine.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess it's not.
What do you mean?
Don't you get? Yeah, don't you get?
I don't get them.
Jesus Christ, the deal of the social people, and I just want someone searching Jesus Christ, 4,000.
Well, why do you need to insert your pushing it to the result right there, right?
Request. But that's just pushing it to the array.
So yeah, you have to run. Well, you don't. It's constantly pushing the results. You don't have to remember the loop. The results are all in that array already. Right.
When you like,
That's a good little piece.
The other thing is, like, I have the collection, but the collection isn't, there's nothing in it.
Right, because you haven't added a document yet.
Yeah. So is that gonna be inserted? I looked in the queries from.
So you're having two loops, right?
Yeah.
You have your each, and you have a for now underneath it. Why not just
Oh, yeah, okay.
save the data
Yeah,
during the each?
yeah, okay. I forgot that.
Yeah, so you don't even have to push. Well,
No, I see what you're saying. You don't, the array
is unnecessary. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You can just dot save inside your loop. So inside your each, you're going to use the dot save Mongo method to save it to save the record or save.
db.newstories.save.
Yep. And then title, link, or whatever you named it.
So it's .save. Okay. So I was looking on the docs and
That's the Mongo.js documentation. Yeah. Dot save is.
the Mongo.js. Okay, I was looking on.
Yeah, this particular part is going to be using Mongo.js to do that part.
I was looking on Mongo.
And then DB is the name
Oh,
of the database.
okay.
So remember that when you run the save command, you're going to want to make sure you're not trying to save empty data there. So you may need to test and make sure that title and link exist before. So you may want to have a conditional inside of your each loop
Okay.
that says if title and link, then writes it to the database.
Is that just like best practices? I know for this purpose that they do exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't really know when you're scraping sometimes, though, right?
Right,
It could be a wide. It's a wide. There's a wide margin of difference in content sometimes.
Okay.
All right, guys, we can take a few more minutes, or we can call it now and take a look at the solution. It's up to you guys. Solution. What? You want to go home?
Bye.
Bye.
We'll miss you.
See you later. Say hi to Randall. Randall. Randy. All right. Okay. Randy. All right, let's word wrap this. Okay, so we have our skeleton shell, which provides us some of our boilerplate stuff we need here. Things like including Express, setting the Express app, then requiring request, then requiring Cheerio. Then we have some database configuration, including requiring Mongo.js, setting a URL, and setting the collection. Awesome. Then we need to hook the configuration to the DB variable, which we do effortlessly with the var db equals Mongo.js database URL collection. Okay. If there is an error, we're doing the db on error function to handle such an error. As I said before, well, we don't really have to cover the hello world, but as I said before, your /all route should be pretty much the same as what we've already been doing, okay? All we're doing is just returning every document that we find within our collection, okay? So just find with no parameters gives us everything. Question, comment, observation? Okay, just a smile. Sometimes it says more than a million words. What?
Where are you referencing scrape data from?
Scrape data from my other route.
They define it at top. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, so that's pretty basic. Let's go down to the question. Yes.
Where are you putting your URL?
The URL that I'm scraping?
Yeah.
Right here.
Oh, there it is.
Okay. So inside my scrape route, the first thing I do is I request that URL. Okay, so requesting the URL, very important to remember that there's a third parameter, HTML, which I'm going to set to my $ variable. So I'm using Cheerio to load in this this URL as I've saved it. Okay. Then what I'm doing is I'm running. Stop doing that. I'm running an each against the .title. So every time it finds something with the class title, it's going to run this function. It's going to go ahead and set a variable for title, which is this children a text. So any text of an A that is a child of a element with .title. Then it's going to create link. Link similarly is a child of A that has an attribute href. So anything that has that attribute href in the child. Okay. Then I have just a little bit of error correction. I need to see had both a title and link. So I'm doing a quick conditional inside of my each loop. If title & link. So remember, JavaScript is truthy. So all we're seeing is if there's an actual value there. So that will return true if there's a value, false if it's empty, right? Okay, so if that does pass, then I'm going to go ahead and run my Mongo.js save command to save that current round of data that we're iterating through to the MongoDB. Alternatively, there's an error or a callback, which will also either log errors or log what we saved to the console. Now that's really unnecessary because that was kind of like a step that we had before, but it's good for kind of checking and seeing what's going on and see if we're getting the right things, querying the right things and getting the right returns. So other than that, all we have did is that we sent a response back to the Node application to say scrape complete. That's it. The only other line in this one is to make sure that the app is up and running using the app.listen. Okay, so we're going to Slack this to y'all. And I'm also going to Slack one more thing to you. So let me Slack this one first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow, a lot of Node packages in this one. So if you're taking off, just make sure to look for the, I'm zipping up the solution right now, so it'll be there in the channel once I get it. The solution is coming. Hot off the presses. All right. I almost dropped it in Doom Squad. That would have been unfortunate.
I'd rather resave
That's great. We'll leave it.
All right, guys, I'm going to give you one other file as promised, and that is the skeleton for another app. A lot of skeletons in my closet. Okay, so I'm going to send out this instruction. So we covered so much today that we didn't quite get to this, but it's really just more practicing what we've gotten to. So it's just a further activity. Today was just chock full of activities. So the cup should overfloweth. So woo, we got through a lot of topics, scraping Mongo.js, blah, 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 bring it all together, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to Slack out the skeleton to this note taker, okay? If they finish, if you're looking over this activity, go ahead and attempt, if you want to, attempt this note taker app, finishing out this note taker app. Even if you don't finish the app, or even if you don't get this assignment that we just did, you don't get it finished, you should still try to finish it out before Saturday, okay? It's not mandatory, but it's good practice, and it's like I said, it's related to the homework assignment. I will probably slack out the solution to this the skeleton I'm sending you right now on Saturday. Okay, so I'm gonna hold it back for a little bit. Not to be an asshole, but just because I want you guys to try. Exactly. Okay, so let me go ahead and send out the skeleton to this note taker app. All right, one more file coming your way right now.
Make the build great again, Todd.
Make something great again.
One hell of a ride. It's gonna be one hell of a ride.
Doesn't make homicide great again.
People think it never went out of style, Jim.
It never did, really.
Homicide will never die.
It's okay.
I don't need your judgment.
Get him anyway.
I don't need your judge.
I think you do.
You think I do need Lisa's judgment?
Keep us.
Thanks, Joe.
Shit.
And it's named Skeleton.
Keep our heads cool.
Is
it really named Skeleton?
Yes.
It's not just skeleton.
It's not. It's note taker skeleton, which is all we wanted for the previous one.
There you go. Well, you got what you wanted.
I appreciate that, Jim.
You get what you ask for.
I just kept opening the wrong ones because they were all named something else.
Skeleton something.
Yeah. Well, it kept doing like 1, 2, 3. And it turns out if you rename a zip file and you open it, it's still
Whatever.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't know it would say something like that. I did not tell you that a week ago.
Quarterback names are
It's hateful as fuck.
It's more like I
Ghost Rider.
And Jim, with those,
I think we should go right at this.
with the right method or the
do that. It's always
right to the database
And
method?
if you touch my car, I always.
How are we supposed to get there if we don't have three cars?
That's kind of good.
Oh, when you just sit
Yeah.
It's not giving you that. I have a response.
Oh.
I'm not saying.
It's not pretty right.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
No.
Straight to the-
Yeah.
Red stuff
It is
in.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we were-
Yeah, red stuff's
It
in.
needs something, it needs res dot center, res dot feedback or
Oh.
something.
Red stuff's in.
Are you gonna do like one of those like comic club ones or?
Yeah.
I'm doing it online.
Oh, okay.
Never
Yeah,
have
red
a
one's for everyone.
on the note line. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do not do
Video
you
option.
should get out a page. Or, yes, you can send it off to the all.
The built-in timers,
No,
so
yeah,
it's just kind of like.
Nasty next Monday.
ridiculous.
Got it.
Got it.
See you Saturday.
So much, shots expensive bar. Bar. Yeah. It's a very nice and classy bar.
You ever seen Toast Thunder up here?
Yeah.
There's like that girl named Shad Dynasty.
Oh,
And they named the bar
yeah.
after her and it's Shady Nasties.
Just try it
I
on.
know, I remember that.
Frank's really happy. Yeah. That was so perfect. Like, I wonder what came first in the writing process. I wonder if they're like, yo, she gave her Shad Dynasty, but can you?
They had to know when you wrote out.
Yeah.
Like,
No, that's
hearing
what I'm
it
saying,
and
like,
seeing it.
Did they come up with Shad Dynasty first and then see it and they're like, oh my god, this is
I
perfect.
kind of wonder. But no. And like, we'll never know. It's a drunken fuel.
Oh, crash the survey.
Yeah, well, like you got my basic browser.
So like. It was Rob McElhaney's current girlfriend before he married.
But like, how do I send the array?
The waitress is married actually to.
Yeah, I think she was one of the crew that was on the original array. He submitted it.
So you're trying to create an array. Why don't you just write
So
it in the database?
they shot a pipeline.
Are you? This is your get. You're trying to retrieve it.
Yeah.
But you're using Cheerio, so you're
Super
scraping.
odd seeing someone else.
And then you're trying to just put it right. You're trying to scrape it and just put it right to the handlebars.
Save it to your MongoDB. That's the whole point of what we were doing. Save to MongoDB and then.
No,
it's hard with that. The handlebars can be integrated in there, but yeah, you don't just spin it around, put it in the database, then.
Yeah. No, that's.
It's just framed.
We were using that array, and this is where it got confusing. And over here, Derek had the same thing. We were using that array to store it because we weren't really doing much with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The array became kind of useless when we were going straight to adding it to the database.
Okay, and then.
Instead of adding it to an array, we're putting it in the database. It's much better.
Yeah.
Alright, so.
Because it creates a document every time we do that under our collection.
He left all his shit in the wallet.
Maybe. No, I doubt it.
This is a wallet.
What's that? Man, you know, the thing is
8
that
miles away, Jim.
my wife is expecting me home.
Office hours don't end until like 10:30, Jim.
We're just hosting them in a separate
He
location.
actually likes his wife, so I think he's gonna go home.
She's all right. No, I gotta go home today. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah.
All right, so I guess we're gonna call it.
Don't worry. There's several ways you can lose your testicles, but mine's a slower, gradual method.
Testicular torsion, the cross-country coach at my high school, lost
No,
one
no,
running in lives.
You can come back from testicular torsion.
He went like 24 hours before he got it checked out, so it just died in
Atrophy, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it got like reabsorbed into the body or something. I think he has a prosthetic though. He tells this story on the first day of school to his classes.
No, the tissue just died. If it's not receiving blood, or you know what I mean, the tissue can.
What kind of like rock solid though?
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh.
Can you just like take that back in like as nutrients and testosterone?
No, it doesn't work that way.
I really hope so.
We're not starfish.
Well, I don't want to grow another one. I just want to make use of the one that died.
No, I'm saying our body parts are too unique and different. Our organs and systems, you can't just like have another one kind of fill in. You know, there's not like your gallbladder's not going to like fill in the role of the testicles. Like, I can handle that. I got it. I'm in the same general area.
Your other testicle will start like going harder though, won't it? I've got to imagine. You got to for a reason. Like everyone gets a second chance.
I don't think. I think it's just how much you use them.
Like, is that really like if you don't use it, you lose it sort of thing? Is that mic still on?
I don't know. Yes, it is. I know that when you get a vasectomy, it goes somewhere, but it doesn't go. It doesn't.
Oh yeah, I think in that case, like sperm cells get reabsorbed.
That's what I'm saying. I think in that particular case, yes, I think it is, but I don't think the tissue itself can be reabsorbed.
Yeah.